Stay in the car.
Nope, we'll keep it short.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting come to order. We have an agenda in front of us.
Move to approve.
Second.
No additions or corrections. All in favor of the agenda as printed, say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Amendment has been approved. Public input. Seeing none, we'll go right into approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes from February 10th? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes from February 10th, say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Minutes have been approved. We're at authorizing the auditor to issue checks and claims.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, anything else on any abnormal things? Okay. Move approval to authorize the auditor to issue checks, say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We have no personnel additions or resignations, which is positive, so we'll go right into committee updates. Anybody have committee updates?
I had friends of the family. I participated by virtual because I was ready to walk out the door and Shauna called me and said, we may not have a quorum, somebody canceled, and I don't want you to drive 45 miles to not have a meeting, but we did actually get a quorum, so I participated that way. Got a couple of nice provider numbers for people to contact for mental health issues, which was the first time that I've actually ever seen them put out that way, and I will figure a way to get those put out to everyone. We discussed HHS's redesign, which is they're transitioning out of early childhood Iowa and doing a total takeover of DCAT and CPPC at the end of June of 26, so in 4.5 months. That has led, I found out yesterday from a phone call that has led the administrator of the Central Iowa it used to be 4 counties, now it's 7 counties because we merged, as you recall me saying, with North Iowa. Not North Iowa, it's Howard, Chickasaw, and Floyd counties, and I don't remember what their group was called. But anyway, we've merged with them, and she was the director of both of those, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with that position in the short term, but in the long term, the position's going to be eliminated because of the impending code change anyway. So we did decide, which probably is a moot point now because she's the only full-time employee, to create a severance package similar to what we did with mental health at the time of that process to try and keep her. But an opportunity came up that she just doesn't feel she can pass up given the uncertainty of where it goes after July 1st. Needless to say, there's plenty of questions and concerns surrounding what happened with that process. So it affects a lot of providers more than it affects county governments, but stay tuned. I believe that's all I had.
I just had, Tuesday we had bid opening on the courthouse, we'll talk about that later, and then Thursday we just had a review meeting, kind of where do we go and what needs to be looked at with that for the courthouse remodel project. And then today, will still be in session, but the new food pantry for Waverly Family Services Office for Community Action on north of town is holding their ribbon cutting with Chamber and Rotary at 11:40 this morning. So.
For me, I did attend Pat Grassley's meeting. We talked a little bit about taxes and about where they're going, and I did, kind of push that hopefully the House would include some type of relief with schools too. So they talked about wind energy. That's something to watch in the moratoriums. About 50% of the counties have moratoriums on wind and other energy sources. So the House is disgruntled with that, so I'm trying to look at that. And then overall school foundation formula or school impacts they talked about. So pipeline was discussed too, so nothing really new on the pipeline from the House side either. So they're still trying to go forward with their bills to eliminate eminent domain. So that was Pat's, and then workforce development, just through email communication. Last couple months ago, we talked about North Iowa, the workforce development area, possibly merging with Mississippi Valley. We thought that was not a very good match. Now East Central is at the point in time that they may want to merge, so we may have some discussions on that. So if the public has any...
Bob, sorry to interrupt, but still with North Iowa? Is that what you're thinking? Or?
Yeah, Northeast Iowa, Workforce Development will entertain a conversation with East Central, which is Cedar Rapids, Iowa City. So that may be a little bit better, mix. There's still a lot of manufacturing. They're probably a little bit more high tech per se, a little bit higher tech, but I think they have a better mix than Mississippi Valley or South Central. So we'll have that discussion here this next week. But anybody from the public has any thoughts about that, I would love to hear those concerns. So those are my updates. Great. So we just got a couple minutes, and then we'll start out with Aaron, and I know Historical Society's coming. I think they're here too, so we'll take a little break.
Hey, you two did.
How are you?
Chair.
Regina?
Chair.
Sorry, I was looking at our update from 1997.
Okay, in the center, you and Kimberly will be talking more than me.
You can talk, I don't care.
Silent this time. Off this time.
Hey Bob, where's your red tie?
These guys like
I
ties.
didn't even notice that.
Leave it to Dave to pick up on that.
Bob has never wanted to tie that much.
Hi Dewey.
How you doing, David?
Good.
We'll just start here in just a couple minutes. And just a reminder, we're once again on YouTube, so don't blurt anything out. Gina, I know I got to keep you under control.
It's amazing the people that watch that in the city council.
I do have, do you want me to pass these around? You guys can, better keep them for myself here.
Dave, when you say it's amazing, are you saying that we're not entertaining?
Well, no, I think it's kind of funny. I used to have my youngest daughter's friends that one time said, my dad watches you every Thursday, or the first month of, Thursday goes first month, or first of the month, every month, and I said, you gotta be kidding me. No, he goes downstairs and says, I'm gonna watch the P&Z.
Yeah, that's just an example. That's kind of, yep, but you can.
Okay.
Sir.
Just, yep, look at it.
How are you?
What was the fee? Oh, good. You look good. What did you get on? Final statement. Yeah.
This is the second.
Who's got good news, doesn't he?
This is.
Okay, I think we'll start with introductions, so why don't you kind of go down the list and see who we have here, so.
Barb Lovejoy Hess, I'm Vice President of the Historical Society, and I'm from Denver.
Kimberly Murphy, I'm President of the Bremer County Historical Society, and I'm from Janesville.
I'm David Huser, Treasurer for the Historical Society.
Gina Macklemore, Waverly Building Committee.
Building committee.
Yeah.
Good. So, the supervisors of Bremer County have been giving, your group some dollars for the past several years, and we just want to talk a little bit about that in the County Historical Society. Past couple of years, we've given about $10,000, and through some history review, it was noted that it was, I think, $1,000, and then it got upped to a capital program, increased to $10,000 when you did the wall and et cetera. Well, it never got reset. And so we want to talk about that and see what your needs are and see where you're at with your capital projects and et cetera. So I think that's what we want to discuss today, and so I'll let you guys talk. Or Dave.
No,
Well,
2 minutes.
from what my understanding is, before when they were asking for that money, we weren't getting things covered as upkeeping with our maintenance, and we also weren't able to run like the furnace and AC a lot of the year. It was just kind of bare minimal, and with our $500 utility bill this last month, as you can see from, if you scan through our events and programming, we're not just, open May through October for people to walk in. We're hosting events. I've had school groups coming in here in January. Also, we have to maintain our temperature. We're kind of have our hands tied with that. For the building brick wall expansion and our artifacts, we've been told we have to, some of them especially are very delicate, have to keep a certain current, so if we, don't have the funding, to cover our utilities and stuff, those operational expenses, then we don't have the money to put on our programming. We also have a large project we just discovered. We have a rotting board that's supporting the building that needs to be replaced, and we're able to get it done at a discount while the historical reservation company is here in town already working on another building. But our bill we just got today would be $8,000 just for that year. But we've been chipping away. We've got new windows. We've got a new roof. We're doubling our memberships. We're doubling each year the people that we're pulling through, and the programs we're launching are going to expand not just at the museum but all over Bremer County. We've got 30 people working on brainstorming the first phase of the passport project, and we are trying to coordinate and collaborate with, the libraries, all the nonprofits around here. So that funding that's been provided has really helped us get to that point where we're going and keeping our momentum so that we can be a little more self-sufficient here in the next couple of years, because we're really starting to feel strong, I guess, as a society.
One of the, excuse me, one of the things that takes place here is the people that donate don't want to donate for overhead, and basically that 10,000 covered our overhead. And so what happens is there was a lot of, when we were only getting 1,000 or 2,000 during each year, a lot of things were just sliding, and the building was having nothing done as far as bringing it up to date or as far as repairing things. And so basically when we started getting the 10,000, it was able to turn around and do the things that Kimberly talked about. And I think that's, if we're going to have this going on to next generations beyond my time and beyond your time, we've got to keep that building in good repair. And what's happened is when we had the moisture issue down in the basement, that kind of takes care of this rotting that goes on that Kimberly and we're going to have talked about. We're going to have to put a beam across the front of the building to support those joists that come into the old limestone foundation. And so that's just one of the things that we've been doing. We did some work to get rid of all the moisture that was coming in through the walls several years ago. So we've been trying to bring this building up to where it needs to be. Otherwise, someday down the road, it's just going to collapse, and that's what that's going for. And before we were just putting Band-Aids on some of the work. Gina's done a lot of the work as far as for grants and so forth, but the money that we get donated in, we always have to match those grants, and so that's something that has to take place. And so that's the reasoning why we needed the 10,000, and basically that covers our overhead expenses, so we can use the donations to bring the museum up to date. One of the things we also are looking forward to is to turn around and put an elevator in there so we can get people up to the third floor. If you've been in the place, the steps are atrocious for somebody older to climb. Even though I had Marv Schumacher go all the way down the basement. And then when the engineers came, they go, "Marv came down here," and I said, "Yep." And so we were trying to look at first starting to put a elevator up the old elevator shaft. Well, part of the problem is the state of Iowa won't allow such a small elevator in a commercial building, and we even tried to say, okay, we'll take it out if it ever becomes an apartment or something, which won't happen, but we couldn't get anywhere on that regard. So working on that is raising the funds for an elevator that goes, they're probably going to have to go up the outside to make it happen, and that way people can get to the third floor. So those are a lot of things we're trying to do to make it accessible to everybody in the county.
And once we get the museum kind of back in shape with these kind of large projects with the roof, that's only going to make it more efficient and more accessible and allow us to grow as a society and do more for the community.
It was the Albrecht wing roof that we replaced last year, so the shingles have been on more than 20 years. And that's 2 sections of the roofing, and there's a little bit that's tarred in the in-between parts, so those are gonna have to be addressed here very soon too.
I guess, David, my question is maybe geared more to you because you've been the treasurer there for a lifetime.
I don't know about that.
What impact, if you're taxing for something, which is what we're doing if we're automatically giving you $10,000, what effect does that have on people's desire to give? Because I always look at that when someone is soliciting donations from me, if they're also receiving tax dollars. Because I don't like to double pay
Sure.
for taxing things.
Well, as
So-
you, oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Well, as you well know, without that kind of money, we'd be back to where we'd be putting Band-Aids on a lot of these things and probably wouldn't be able to do, because our overhead costs are around that 10 to 11, some years it's a little bit more. We're gonna have to start replacing furnaces in there. So I don't think it's gonna affect having that. We still go out there, we still got some great supporters out there that are doing the money, or giving the money to the museum, and allows us to do some of these other things that Kimberly talked about. One of the things that we're trying to make it more accessible during the year for school children to come through, because when we only open up in May and we close around November 1st in the past, we're trying to make it accessible all year round so that the kids can come in and see some of these things. And I don't think it's going to affect the people, because we seem to be getting it, but that allows us to do the other programs. So that's what you're asking, isn't it? If
Yeah,
people step away if the tax money it comes in.
My next question is a little bit more, I guess, focused on what it's actually called, your ability to get money from the taxing body. Somehow, your group has mischaracterized it that it's a grant. And I got a phone call, and somebody wants a similar grant that you got, because one of your group members told them, well, you just ask the supervisors and they'll give you a grant for that type of thing.
It wasn't for me.
And that's pretty frustrating,
Yeah.
because it's not a grant.
Yeah.
It's a direct taxation, and there was no, if it was a grant, then there would be open up to competitive people asking for those
Sure.
dollars.
Sure.
And frankly, if we're gonna continue to give $10,000, then I would recommend to this group that we do turn it into a grant, because there is another group in the county that is, and there's probably more than that. Every town probably has their own little historical society. The county has one that, it's not owned by the county, but out at the old county home.
The part.
And, you know, one shouldn't be treated differently than the other. Some are private, some are not private. But
We're countywide though, we're not just the city.
Well, so is the poorhouse, or poorhouse,
Yeah.
the poor farm.
Poor farms, yeah.
But I totally understand, like Gina said, it is for the full county. Just, and I don't know, on my financial statement, I think I show it as public bodies that have given money for it. So I guess I don't have it under grants or anything, but the thing that you have to take a look at is when you are going through and the poor farm probably deserves that, because they do some of the things that have gone on in the county. But the individual cities, that's a little bit different. It's just like the Sturdivant House, you know, probably wouldn't be coming here because it's only for the city of Waverly. It should be coming from the the city instead of the county, you know. But then you know, you go to the city, they turn around and say, well, go to the county, they got all kinds of, they don't have any debt to speak of. Well, that's good to not have, you know, now we do with the expansion or the updating of the courthouse. But I mean, that doesn't help when the city turns around and says, go to the county. That's frustrating as far as a taxpayer, as far as I'm concerned. Like when we came to you for the building wall, we raised over, right at about 100,000 along with the 10,000 that came from the county. And so you can put it either way. It covers the expenses of the overhead, or it, we had that much more money, but we had to use some of that money on that.
And when I voted in favor of that, I voted to support that because of that project. And I thought that's what we were gonna be doing. If you had a project, you would come to us, but now it turned to autopilot, and that's why we have you here today.
It's
to
AI.
see if it's gonna stay on autopilot, or what the expectation is going forward.
Sure.
I looked back at the history, FY '22, FY '23, both combination of doing the wall, because you didn't quite finish in FY '23, 10,000, FY '22, FY '23 was 2,500. FY '24, FY '25, FY '26 was 10,000 each, and a letter was submitted stating that they were using it for operating costs.
And basically, we were taking money that was being donated and using it for the other, capital, because people like to give money not for operation, but for
That's
capital.
kind of to my point about
Yeah.
taxation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's why, so then I turned around and looked at this about our overhead, and that way the money can be used to do the improvements that need to be done to keep the thing in good shape, so.
This would be, my recommendation would be long-term, you should probably go down to a level of maintenance like the fair, 5,000. This year, maybe keep it the same, and I do like your emphasis on the 250th, because we're kind of lacking at a county, some organizational strength around it, and your guys would do a good job this year, so maybe continuing to 10,000 this year, knowing that you're going to, facilitate the Bremer County 250th, and then next year go down to 5,000 maintenance level, similar to the fair. That'd be my recommendation.
I'd be in agreement with that recommendation. I see the energy that's building, that you've built up in the previous few years, and we see the direction, that you're going. You've given a really good update, and that vision, it will bring in more private donations, and I think help finish off some of these projects, make a more sustainable building, and then we can get to that point, as Bob says, to get down to more of a maintenance allocation. And I think that would be looked at favorably across all entities for outside agencies, that we could get to a more sustainable number. That watching that number grow on our end and knowing what's coming from budget caps is just kind of creates some nervous energy here.
Does Bremer County own anything in that building, or is it simply titled the Bremer County Historical Society? Has there ever been any ownership, i.e. responsibility on behalf of the county? Because the difference between what Bob is describing with the fair is that the fairgrounds has got some direct correspondence or correlation to the county, whereas does the Historical Society, I don't know the answer to my question, so
I would not think we own anything, but they hold the artifacts that represent Bremer County.
but so do other places.
True, but for Bremer County as a whole, like Sturban House, they don't, they would not hold it as a whole, as a holding repository. And once Dewey Hildebrandt resigns, you're gonna have a picture of him on the third floor, right?
Well,
If you'd like to be. Sure.
We can do that.
But the Poor Farm would certainly qualify for,
Yep, I hear it.
but we don't own it. It's a private organization, so I'm not advocating that we turn around and give $10,000 to.
We'd be happy to turn it over. You can take care of the insurance and everything, but yeah, I don't think you want that.
So
I'm a lot more comfortable hearing the explanations, and I'm a lot more comfortable being able to tell you that you gotta be careful when you're talking to other groups about how you're receiving the money. It's not a grant, and we can't call it a grant if it's not a grant.
Yeah, no, I understand that totally.
Somebody has to be more careful.
okay.
So,
And Dewey, I know you're not gonna, next year 5,000 with that.
I won't be here, so that'll be yours.
So would you have any concerns going that direction? 10,000 this year, 5,000 next year?
I think that, just as the other groups do, if they come in and more clearly articulate
Yeah.
I mean, your first time in, you didn't tell us about your finances. You didn't give us any kind of real ideas about what you were actually going to do. Today you did.
Okay.
So I think you have a better understanding now. I think this communication today was fabulous, because now you know what the expectation should be, and that'll be up to the future boards to set that number.
I would encourage you guys to apply for 5,000 next year as a maintenance level similar to the county fair. So you have a kind of a year to kind of plan that, but I applaud you guys' efforts on the 250th. Darius and Shelley are also working on it, so I know you put our Flag Day program on there, so thank you very much for that, and we'll get you some more information on that. So, anything else?
I don't have anything else. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you so much.
And we have Aaron here. So, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Didn't mean to take your chair.
Take care.
Aaron,
Yes.
just give us a little bit more budget detail. And I know there's some tower discussion, and I just want to get clarity on that and stuff like that, so.
Okay, so yeah, I know there's concern on, obviously, the total increase from the ask of the county. And going back to the Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG, 2025 still has not been released, and we have not gotten any further guidance that it will. At this point, doesn't look like we're gonna see that at all.
The $20,000.
That's what we had allocated, yes, in the FY '26. So for FY '27, we're still applying for it, that we're in the application phase right now. But it's not guaranteed. So that's why, and every county's that utilizes the MPG in the past or currently, they're doing the same thing. They're pulling it out just because you don't know if it's coming. It's unfortunate. And I guess in the past, it's never really been a guarantee funding. So pulled it out 100% for this FY '27. And then, which obviously increases the ask of the county. Basically 100% ask for the department.
But some of the tower duties that Dan was doing, 911, I'm sorry, are being transferred to you. Some of those, I was hoping some of those dollars that to help support that would come from the tower fund, but could you talk about that?
It should come from the 911 fund.
What parts are we looking for?
The $5,000 that you're.
That's all out of 911.
Should be 911.
That's a lot of the
That shouldn't be an
911
increase in
service
taxes at
board.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no.
not, and that's not reflected here.
That's not out of this at all. It doesn't touch this budget at all.
So, I guess I have concern with the MPG fund writing it off that we're not gonna receive it in '27. I'm just wondering, it looks likely that the '25 or the fiscal year '26 isn't coming. But essentially, are you asking to make up fund balance for '26 that's not coming, plus the '27 here? I'm just trying to
Well, so,
compartmentalize that large increase. Like,
right, so either we, say we do get, say, 20,000 this next year, we can take that and lessen the ask. 28, FY '28, we can move that around too. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I'm just, I looked at your reserve fund, like your restricted fund, Fund 4,000, and it has went from 24 to 25, it's went down, 16,000 roughly. But I mean, you're still higher, like back in '21, you were down at 173,000, now you're sitting, the end of '25, you were sitting almost 187. So, like, can we absorb some of that out of that reserve fund, or do we need to tax for it, I guess is where.
who do you see the reserve at currently?
We don't have a forecast for end of '26 yet.
Okay.
That's what I.
Who makes the decision, Homeland Security, about whether or not we get the 20,000?
That's a FEMA level. So,
Homeland Security then?
Yes, FEMA at Homeland Security. So the state hasn't even received those funds to distribute either.
So, was it in the big beautiful bill or not? Someone by now should have been able to figure that out if it's, and then if it's in the bill and we're not getting it, then someone needs to ask why.
Right,
So
where's
what, who's working on it, in other words? Who's, at the state level, who's working on
So
trying to figure out why we're not receiving it?
So for some reason that FEMA is in this lawsuit with 3 or 4 other states.
Well, FEMA's broke, for one thing.
Right, so that's
they
not
don't have
helping
any
the
money.
scenario. Actually, my district meeting, that's today in Mason City, Director Benson is there today, so I'm hoping to jump on that meeting at 10 to see if he has more of an update, and he's the Director of Homeland Security for the state of Iowa, to see if he has a direction on where this next year is gonna go and where that current money is at.
Tell John Dewey says hi, by the way.
I will.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He used to be the 911 guru
Yes.
and was phenomenal at
Yeah.
it. He's a good man.
He is. He's very, very intelligent what he does. So I wish I could give you a direct answer where that money's at, but I don't even know if this state.
Where I'm going with that is, are we sure we shouldn't be putting it in as a revenue for the following year?
FY '27.
Right.
I
Just
mean,
because we're not getting it right now and it doesn't look promising, are we taking them off the hook by simply removing it and saying we're never gonna get it? And that would
We
help
could-
address your
That
concern
essentially
about,
is my point.
then you would have those carryover dollars, fund balances, whatever. If you don't end up getting it, you could know more about how much was still in that fund balance to buy those down.
Mhm. So the reason we did it what we did is I talked to some other counties how that they also were allowing for EMPG in their revenues. As I asked some other ones, like, you can do a 2-year, 3-year, maybe phase out of EMPG funds, and they said all the ones that I talked to said no, we're just gonna pull it out 100%, and if we get it, it'll be the bonus for the year, so of revenue. They just don't want
But
But
to
that
Corey's point,
bonus
then
is-
we're directly taxing our citizens for an additional $20,000.
Mhm.
Doing it the way that we're saying,
Mhm.
you wouldn't necessarily be taxing for it.
I think we have a healthy fund balance there in your reserve fund that we could absorb the hit 1 year to maybe achieve some guidance from FEMA instead of just going back to the taxpayer and asking to bail out what's supposed to be a federal appropriation.
to. Sure.
And so that's my reluctance to fund this large of an increase year over year.
Mhm.
Your public hearing is tonight.
Mhm.
I don't know the protocol for if you were to add 20,000 back in the revenue side of things for your next budget. Cassandra, can you help me out
So
there?
If revenue would,
It would actually just be, would be decreasing the contribution from the county, and the offset would be the
20,000 is the revenue
20,000
side.
that comes in, or, so budget would stay the same bottom line, it's just where the funding's coming.
Right.
So I could adjust that. That part of it.
Let's try that, and then we'll
So reduce the contribution from county by 20,000.
and then keep us informed on your meetings and progress on that as you meet with us quarterly, and then
Mhm.
we can also make adjustments afterwards too.
Sure, sure.
And it sounds like the 911 coordinator, that transition's happening. There wasn't any pushback. Or
Yeah, we didn't get
From
any
the 911 board, so-
pushback on that. The members were in
When's the
favor of it.
911 public hearing?
That was last week.
Last week.
Yeah, it
okay.
was last week. Yep.
You understand then, Aaron, what we're asking?
Yeah, yep,
Right,
I'm gonna
very
write that
good.
down and
Just-
I'll
And you're
adjust
able to
that.
articulate that tonight, or
Yeah,
I can help you out a little bit if.
yeah, yeah.
becomes necessary.
I'll put that in there and then,
Perfect.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank
yeah,
you, Aaron.
thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dave has some clarity on some software, so.
So this would cover basically our entire Microsoft Office suite, email, everything. Still working on finding a reseller that will enter into a licensing agreement. Ultimately, we'll have to do something. End of life for our current version is October. So we can pay to extend support and get patches. No fee schedule on that right now. The only fee schedule we have is if we were to migrate entirely to Office 365, which I think I mentioned that a couple of times throughout my department updates, is $19.50 to $21 per user per month.
And a user is defined by an email address, or what's it defined by?
Anybody that logs into a computer and has credentials. In some aspects, that'll also be a mailbox. So if they have an email box, and we've gone through our auditing and we're at 200 users. As far as distribution groups, which that operates a little bit different. So say somebody sends an email to the Board of Supervisors at co.bremer.ia.us, that's not considered a license, it's a distribution group. So we've been going through and moving everything to that format rather than just having that be a mailbox and then giving each of you access to it.
And you said here that we may be able to buy support after October?
And I don't have a fee schedule for that, correct. And right now, for residential, if you're looking at Windows 10, you can pay monthly to have extended support. I don't recommend it, and they can pull that at any time. So I would imagine within a year after October, we're not gonna have an Office package at 2021.
And like you said, the biggest fear I have is no security patches.
Correct. You
If
pay
there's
for
no
those.
security patches after October, then the risk is too great, so.
So we get to 200 by part-time, really part-time people being included in our numbers, and we pay how often for that?
This would be per user per month.
Around $20.
So
a month.
election workers, we pay $20 a month for those 30 election workers.
We would
all
have to
year
get
long.
creative, and I know now the
Makes
state's.
no sense at all.
Right, and the state's requiring each of them to have their own credentials, or emails.
Well, I don't
$20
know
a
the number.
month. I don't know how many.
No, 30 people
What's the number of,
for in-office election helpers.
no, total, because otherwise where are we coming up with 200 if we only have 170 employees?
That's actually a conservative mailbox count on our server right
Yeah,
now.
but where are I don't get it. We got
Right.
170 employees, 172, I think you said.
I'm gonna look.
And so seasonal, like election workers, those licenses can be moved around. So say she has somebody, we would create that would absorb one of those licenses. When they're done, we deactivate it, that license is gone, and then basically they'd be on a rotation then. But, so what's hard to kind of put into words is that copier back there takes up a mailbox because you use it to send an email. Fax machines take up a mailbox. There's a
So
lot
that helps
of,
answer my question.
well, and it's harder to explain to think broader scope. Anything on the internet that requires email traffic is essentially a mailbox.
So it's not the person.
Correct.
It's the device.
But shouldn't you be able to take that out of work? Out of the contract?
The mailbox itself, that's where we'd have to get creative. Make that either a contact, but that still has SMTP traffic on port 25, so that considers, that's gonna be a license.
What I'm hearing is we need to get it included in the budget, so.
But what I'm hearing is we gotta be very careful because I don't wanna be throwing away $20 a month per. Because,
Correct.
small dollars make real dollars. And that's part of the problem. with them.
And we're doing everything we can do to minimize that. I mean, if we were to move or migrate right now, it'd probably be closer to 300, just because when we owned and had an on-prem, we could do whatever we wanted and stay within that user cal count or the license count. Since this is a cloud, they're gonna nickel and dime you for everything that they can. And ultimately, that's kind of how Tyler's moved too. Is you used to have to pay extra for software subscription. Now it's included in your monthly payment. So every new version of Office or Exchange or anything like that comes out, you get it automatically. But I do, and I mentioned this to Bob, I have a meeting with another reseller this week on Thursday and a licensing specialist from Microsoft. So that's where we'll get creative with what we can do with devices like that. And again, we've already started migrating some of the used to be individual mailboxes into distribution groups, just in preparation.
Yeah, you gotta keep on getting creative to ratchet that number down as best you can. But let's get something put in the budget, so we can have October.
Yeah, and I can give you solid numbers. So this is NASPRO or GSA pricing that we have in front of us, because that's all that's available without entering into a tenant. After Thursday, hopefully. And I would assume it's gonna be less than the high end, which is $21.50 per person. And then I'll have to work with the sheriff on their.
Per
side.
device.
Per device. Well, see, and I gotta be careful when you say device too, because licensing in Microsoft, so it was probably 5 years ago, Microsoft did a huge licensing change, and they actually employ teams of people to explain licensing at Microsoft. They've made it so convoluted. So it's one of those things where it takes a lot of time to go through and look at all the gray areas. That's what we're looking for, and that's where we'll try to operate as much as possible.
So the computers that we're supposed to save people all this money because of proficiency and efficiency really end up costing people a lot of money.
I would totally agree with you. So our options here, though, and I did mention this, we can go to an open office. We can go to these things that are free, but the amount of overhead in retraining the end user and interoperability between what the state sends us, they're all on Microsoft.
Well, I think Bob already has alluded to that. That's too problematic to even consider.
It would be, and I actually did try pushing for that back in the early 2000s. We had open office deployed over one office. It didn't last very long. I would say within a month we were back to full-blown Microsoft.
Yeah. Cassandra, you know the direction we want to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
And I'll get you for Thursday, hopefully.
175 is the official active count that we have with part-time, temporary.
Well, it's 25 floating people out there that.
We will
don't have a
identify
name.
them before we do anything. And so, and kind of what's behind this is, as Brent and myself have access to the admin panel, if we need a person, we add them. If we subtract them, that you see those cost savings immediately, or the cost itself immediately.
Well, you do a good job with it, Nate. Keep doing that. I don't know how you-
We'll keep doing.
know
I
how
don't
you
like to
keep- I don't know
spend
how you
money
keep
any
your
more than
hair
anybody else.
From getting gray.
What's that? Well, you just got to do this. It's gone. All right, I will get back with you on Thursday. Thank you.
Thanks, Nate.
And that's whenever I'm gonna get an invoice for you.
If you get an invoice.
Alrighty, department budget reviews.
Gave you an updated sheriff's office and then another updated. We were gonna come back to this week. Darius has done a nice revision or amendment to the elected official wage resolution that you've already passed. We'll put that on for next week after you review the sheriff's budget that's in front of you. Dan, if the board is willing to let you speak, I'd let you speak to the change from what we talked about last week to what you sent me yesterday.
So Dan, we have a question. You want to just come up and? Sure.
Last week, there was discussion on salary and under the back to blue and AG's opinion. So I put my chief deputy in charge of getting a hold of the city just to see what the wages were. Nobody got back. He left a message. Yesterday, he called again, found that the current salary that you guys were talking about with me currently is like 136,535, and then with this 3% increase. And I don't want to get into all the details, but apparently there's some bonus thing because staying an extra year, that's totally outside of the salary that they're doing.
I didn't think governments could pay bonuses.
I don't know.
I call it a bonus?
That's what the lady said, that it was a bonus to stay an extra year.
Somebody maybe ought to get a hold of Mark or Mr. Sands. I didn't think that was possible.
Longevity, something.
It was like something to stay. And she said she called it a bonus, I guess, because I even question that it could be that much, but, so,
Probably a retention policy.
yeah, it might be, but she did call it, because I even called, because I'm like,
That would be legal, but
Yeah.
not a bonus.
yeah. So, and maybe she just called it that way. So I just updated mine to what his would have been without retention or bonus, basically.
That's how where we left is his current wage plus 2.8%.
Yes, until I found all this out. So even that is 4,900 less than comparing to fiscal year '26 salaries of the other, that cities of like population. So it amounted to a little bit extra, but that was about it.
So back to blue caused us to have what is effectively about 100% increase in 13 years in the sheriff's salary in Bremer County.
That, none of that other was taken into account until this year.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's your fault, I'm saying
Yeah,
legislators changing the law,
Well, back to blue was passed, what, 21, or, I mean,
somewhere in there. We were apparently late adopting and, but nearly 100% increase in that amount of time. There's no arguing that, that's simply.
well, last year, it wouldn't have been as much of a hit had you not cut the 6%.
Over the period of time, it would still be the same, nearly 100%,
Right.
Sheriff. So it is what it is, but, you know, we gotta follow the law.
So there lies the question, if the chief of police is gonna be at $158,849, do we need to follow suit?
What's his salary? I think that's what's.
That's what I put in.
important to know.
The salary was at 136,535 and then
Right.
3.
Whatever they decided to pay for a retention, whatever they're
Right.
calling it, isn't part of his salary, so that wouldn't be included in the
No.
comparison, unless you're gonna retire and we gotta put a retention bonus.
so right
Oh,
now on this sheet,
No.
140, $631, are you happy with it?
Yes,
Okay, let's stick with that,
Okay.
and it's too high, Dan, that's all I know, but.
I can't control that, so it could be the 144,900 to be realistic, so.
Okay. That's
Okay.
where we're at. Cassandra, you got that?
I've got that, Adam is sitting here, I did give you updated budget,
Okay.
for him. He did bring himself down to the 2.8%, but he did increase his deputies a couple more percents.
So Adam, come up to the table here.
Yep.
So what Cassandra's alluding to there, or summarizing essentially is there was no, the resolution that was passed by this board to have the elected officials outside of the sheriff at 2.8, that was absorbed into the wage schedule in the expense plan. The percentage on the deputies, there was no increase from the original proposed budget request for those employees. So that carried forward. The only adjustment from my original was my reduction on mine, on my.
I'm gonna clarify that.
Okay.
So 67,000 based on a 5% increase means they're like a 75% deputy, and if you leave them at 67,000, that means that they're a 77 point something.
Correct.
So that was what I was trying to
Yes.
explain to the board, that he did leave the salaries the same, which just increased their
Deputy
percentage of
percentage,
deputy.
correct. Not their percentage of raise,
Correct.
because that would be different as well, so.
I don't have as much firsthand knowledge, but what percentage increase is that over, I don't even expect an
Yeah.
answer, but what percentage of an increase is that over your chief deputy from 13 years ago? In fairness to my pointing it out about the sheriff. budget,
Absolutely.
I think it's fair to point it out about this budget, so.
Right.
Or any other budgets. Could you get that number for me at some point so go back and look at what that chief deputy position was making in 2012 and tell us what it is.
I can grab it right
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I know that Jackie, at her departure, she was
You don't
at
need to use
79%.
names, just use
Well, it's
positions.
public information, but the highest paid deputy, the lead deputy, the only deputy at that time, was just under the 80% mark, 79 or 78%. The dollar figure behind that, I don't know what exactly that was, so, yeah.
12 or 13, either one. You're-
Yeah, because I don't know how to go back that far in my records. I'd have to get with Cassandra anyway on
She
that.
has ways.
A lot of data.
So,
At that point in time, the chief deputy in that office was budgeted for, in FY13, $43,946. But I want you to know that the treasurer themselves was only budgeted for $57,140.
Absolutely, I get that, but so that chief deputy today is budgeted at what salary?
67. 67 is the request.
So a 30% increase over that same period of time.
I would, yeah.
Taxpayers are just frustrated with paying more taxes.
You're
You
absolutely
hear it
correct.
from legislators all the time. I'm only trying to do the little bit that I can at the local level,
Yep.
and as we all know, sitting in this room, salaries are the biggest cost of Bremer County.
Yep.
And, okay. I don't have any other questions.
I just think our HR department needs to review and make sure, we've had a salary study, let's make sure these increases are aligned. You know, you're talking about 12, 20, 22, 26% increases, so we need to just make
And
sure.
those line items are hard to track because of the change of those positions in the office. You know, when we have people changing ranks, you know, regardless of their deputy status, when you look at the fact that the lead deputy departed for another job in the county, and then we have people moving up, so now you're comparing a person stepping into a same but different role versus where they were at before, that number is gonna, you know, organically be bigger.
But to Bob's point, that
Yeah.
the person stepping into the person stepping into the person stepping in down here also went up by the same.
You're correct. So,
26%.
right.
So, look, we gotta be fair. People need to know what is
Yep, and
fair
so,
and what
you know,
can't
last year on
discuss.
February 5th, you and I met, and the request was to try to do it over a couple of years. I've tried to do it over 3 years now, and so now we're at the point where it is some catch-up, per se, instead of doing it all at once. So, I hear you.
So let's have Barb review these
Yep, I will get
and
with
give
Barb.
us her opinion, so that would help us. Great. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I do have, talk about health insurance. And one thing that I want to make sure, we need to watch it very closely this next year on health insurance. You know, if we're not going to have, we're going to take it from fund balance and so forth. So I think we should be restricting or monitoring any changes in health insurance between all departments, elected and et cetera, to ensure that, you know, those expenses are going to healthcare, not being transferred to something else. So that's where I believe we should be going as a board, to really watch that expense very closely.
An example would be where you would budgeted for family plan and.
Only need a single. Yep.
I would concur. I think that's very important to be watching that.
So,
Yeah, to that point, I had done kind of a deep dive on a few budgets, just looking at leftover allocations. And Dan, I'm not going to pick on you here. This is one of the ones that popped up as a high dollar value. This public safety department, there was a consistent on the healthcare line. 31,000 was the low out of 3 years. 40,000, just over 40,000 unused funds at the end of a budget year. So like a 3-year average, fiscal 23 to 25 was $36,800 unspent. That's money we're taxing for that we're not using. It's going back into fund balance, but it's like, why are we taxed for it on the front end? Just, we don't even pad the fund balances. So maybe I don't know, you know how we do insurance out of supplemental, could we create a general fund where we pull that out of the individual budgets, the healthcare, and look at
So
it?
as I was talking to Bob, May is our open enrollment period. At that point in time, people will be enrolling for the next fiscal year. And at that point in time in June, we do appropriations for each department elected office. At that point in time, we could look and see what was enrolled and the appropriations for each department elected office could be reduced. And just not have that spending authority there so that health insurance isn't being used to cover other line items and whatnot. And then even though it's been budgeted for, then that money still sits there, and at a point in time, if somebody's got an open position and they take insurance, we've already kind of factored that in by that pool of money that we would have left over.
But you're still taxing for it at that point. It's,
Yes.
that's my point, like trying to pull that out where we're only taxing for what we need. Now, there's life-changing conditions where, you know, somebody with a change in marital status or employment status with a spouse or something where they have to come in, and that's where we amend, you know, when we have those
Can I
situations.
respond to that at all?
Yeah.
So when you look at the number,
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
the number of employees, when you're throwing these 30-some thousand or 40,000, you're probably accurate, I'm not saying that. But what happens if you lose somebody, and a year ago, we were short 6 people. So the health insurance, we have a lot of young people. So they come in, I have some that are still on their parents' policies. So we were budgeting for family, if somebody left, if that's what they were on, and then they come in and they don't even need it. But I saw a lot of young people in the jail that aren't even taking health insurance. So when we start looking at numbers in the budget, it looks like, oh, the sheriff had a huge budget raise because, you know, but then if you look at the number of people with insurance, if they add the insurance, that's 20,500.
I don't think that's what he's saying, though. I think he's simply pointing out that we're taxing for that. He's not, I don't think anybody here is saying that any department head is trying intentionally to use it. I hope that's not what they're saying, because I've never felt that any of you would or are doing that.
And that wasn't my intent at all. It was just, that was the data I had that was relative to the conversation that I wanted to.
We're just trying to keep the levy rate so that those people that are frustrated with their always increasing property taxes don't see it and have a heart attack. And those kind of conversations, it's plenty of time that we've had them, because there's got to be a way that we could work that to where we weren't taxing for it, and perhaps we have that number set aside in our head that we take that out of our fund balances rather than taking it out like we did this year from our healthcare fund balance. Maybe we don't tax for it and then take it out of fund balance for the chance when you do have the employee that comes on board with a family and 8 kids, when the schools love that.
Right.
But so don't take it. I don't think anybody's taking it here as.
No, we
we're just
want
trying
every
to get
employee to
answers.
have the insurance that they want. We just need to monitor it closer.
I will say, so, you know, you take Department 85, which is its own fund. I have to factor in those open positions. I do part of them at full family insurance, part of them at single insurance, because I have to know that number. I can't just say, oh, I'll absorb it somewhere. I have to know what that cost is going to be. However, in Dan's scenario, right now we're not too bad for open positions, but in the past we've had quite a few. We could maybe just do half with insurance and leave the other half not.
Or could you do as Bob, I think Bob asked the question, could you make it be its own fund, and so that number doesn't even sit in everybody's budget. It sits in a health insurance budget, and it's monitored by you or someone, and they don't even, they don't get input into it, and therefore that money would never be available to cover a budget shortfall.
It could be pulled back into the general supplemental, just like we did with liability, property, equipment, vehicle insurance. Those that are their own fund have to keep it there. I mean, that's where it's expensed out of.
Better rain on my parade there.
So that, you know,
Right, because of the taxation.
yes, we don't pay for, that has to come out of his fund, because we're capped to how much we can contribute from our rural basic and our general supplemental towards secondary roads. Same with CBS. You guys don't want your general supplemental paying for every single insurance. It should come out of our Medicaid dollars.
But the intent to keep it from being cross-allocated for other shortfalls.
Yes.
I like
So,
I like your
in the-
idea, Bob. I think that would make, and if I was one of those guys sitting out there, I'd probably appreciate that pretty much.
Can I make, I think that's a.
Yeah, question.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. It removes any speculation that that's happening or gives any insinuation that that's happening. Removes that. I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
We've done it before I was here with paper in the building, in the county. Yeah, every department used to buy their own paper. Now Scott just orders it and it's utilized. I don't use any of the paper supply because the DOT supplies for my whole office. So I think it's great. It might be easier for management.
So let's have Barb and you work together and give us exactly the best way to do it. We may have to include Darius, and on our way we can go that direction.
Okay.
So departments, any other department things that we need to make some decisions on, or where are we at?
I don't believe so, because Department 41, I went ahead and I moved the capital projects for the landfill out of our landfill closure fund. The one you guys don't want me to tax for, I still have to have spending authority, so it still has to sit there, knowing that it's just part of the budget shortfall, because we are going to go down in our estimated ending budget. I gave you Department 2 and Department 10, and that was not an increase by Shelley. It was just a reallocation of one of the wages, a little bit more out of Department 10 versus a little less out of Department 2. I think that encompasses all the changes. Department 33 is done now. Historical Society, I'll leave it at the 10,000, knowing next year it'll probably go down to the 5. The biggest things that we've got left is waiting on this capital project for the courthouse that we've got coming up. So I really can't give you any more updates until we hear and decide, you guys decide where you're gonna go with that.
Okay. So next week in this time, we'll talk about treasurer's office, and then we'll more about healthcare, and
Yes.
then we'll be setting our dates.
Yes, hopefully setting dates for March 5th is when information has to be to Shelley so she can get her notices out. I would say that we will probably have our first public hearing March 24th or March 31st and our actual budget hearing on the 21st of April. That's anticipated.
Way later than we used to.
It's matching last year's. But when you have to wait for the publication, we could set it as soon as Shelley sends out the notification, but you don't give your citizens time to get the notice and review it and be able to come to the public hearing.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. Anything else, Cassandra, on those?
I do not believe so.
Okay, we'll pivot into Landon. Landon, you can have this back.
Oh, all done with that?
We're done with it.
Okay, couple of quick updates. Seal coat projects for this year, I'll kind of discuss these when we do our 5-year plan review next week, but I got a call from Denver last week one day, wondering if we could hold off on Midway South. We were planning to do both north and south of C-50 this year. They would like to hold off on that for budgetary reasons until the following year. I have no issue with that. We're going to have some seal coating that year anyway, probably. But if we do that, the only of our planned seal coat improvements that we had coming into this year, the only one that's really ready to go will be that Midway North. So be a fairly short year on making those
What
improvements.
is the city's financial obligation for that?
Well, yeah, we had talked about a 50-50, if I recall correctly.
Right.
They're also contributing the millings from that other project, so we could look at that too if we wanted to consider that. But
Well, I'm not in favor of holding off. We did it, we made the decision based on a perceived need and a
Mhm.
described need and an articulated need. And, I mean, it's 18 months
Right.
that we're pushing back major dust issues and
Right.
safety issues and.
They
and-
would
and
like
then
to.
it just,
Sorry, go ahead.
it puts us in a position where then in that 18-month period, something else has to be moved or gets
Mhm.
pushed from our perspective. So,
What they did want to do was still put those millings down this year and give it a year to pack in, settle.
well, that would help.
That would help. I'd be a little concerned about that because if it's loose at all going into snow next year, then we end up with a lot of our
Without
new
a seal coat
base.
to keep moisture out of it as well.
Right. So that,
So what, you'd have to try to predict, how much is the cost to seal coat that? What were we looking at?
do a little math, I can give you a rough idea. It's about half a mile, I think. 22. $16,000, just way off the top of my head.
Then I
For
guess
the
what
seal
I would-
coat portion of it?
What I would propose that we would do it, as soon as they can get the millings down, we do the seal coating, we get it completed, and if we have to, we wait and we bill them in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
That's their concern. I don't know, gentlemen, I'm just not one to keep wanting to push things down the road to do later.
Well, and the liability it creates to damage the work we'd already done.
Right.
The millings is just,
Right.
for that small amount.
Can you bill them like that? Is that legal?
Well, we bill them anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I should revisit that number, maybe 30, because we might want to do a double seal coat on this. We've done that on some others, it wouldn't quite be 30. They charge you less, because they're
I was
already
thinking
moved
it
in.
was
but-
closer to 5/8 of a mile, but I don't know how far
Yeah.
millings are gonna go.
But at any rate, it wouldn't be a huge number by any means.
I know when we were looking at the dust control, it seems like we were heading like down using the tower as a reference point. I think we were just
Yeah.
short of that, was like 5/8 of a
Yeah,
mile.
that's right.
Why don't you at least propose that to them?
I'll put the numbers together, I'll put a better number together, and I'll
See.
propose it to them and see
Yeah.
what they say. See if that works for them.
Yeah.
Okay, one brought to our attention midway in 220th, that's been brought to our attention for consideration for a stop sign. If you're coming north or south on 220th, the northwest and southeast corners have some pretty good trees there. It's not as bad as some we've signed, but there is a visual barrier there that it does not have the sight distance you'd like to see on a typical through road with no control. However, it's also a gravel road. Most of our gravel roads have something, so I don't know the thoughts on that. If it was not a gravel road, it would probably be something we'd look at for a yield sign. We've not liked to put yield signs on gravel because it kind of gives a mixed signal, then you don't need to yield if there's not a yield sign, so I don't know if there's any thoughts on what we do there.
Is there any accident data?
Not that I saw, I'll double check. I can look that up, and I can also talk with the sheriff and see if they've got any information there.
Something is ticking that I think that's just come up before.
It may have, yeah. I haven't really had a
Is it
chance to
one
look
individual
into it
that's making
too
the
deep.
request, or?
I'm not sure who it was. It got brought to one of our guys and then brought to me, so I didn't speak with the individual directly.
Shelley, you're the note taker here. Don't
You're
you
the-
remember, wasn't there that conversation once before about midway at 220th?
There's a pretty substantial windbreak for almost 300 feet going north on the
Yeah, that
northwest
northwest
side.
corner is pretty
Where I
good.
can see that
The
takes
southeast corner, it's more of a hardwood stand. There's a little more, you can see through it most times of the year, but that northwest corner is a pretty significant one.
chainsaw probably isn't a good option.
No, it's all on the landowners.
Yeah.
People
That
get,
farmer probably wouldn't appreciate that much.
people get a little squirrely, start taking their windbreaks out. Okay, I'll do some digging on that and maybe discuss with the sheriff too, if they're aware of any near misses and that type of thing there. There's a proposal out, just to make you aware, I don't know if it's actually been even started at the legislature yet, but there was a proposal from, I don't know if it went from ISAC or through our engineering group, but to index the road use tax funds going forward. I didn't look into that. I meant to this morning to see if that actually has been proposed at the legislature, but that's something to look out for. It would,
It's in the Senate plan.
it is, okay.
Yeah.
The proposal I saw would be a 3% or CPI, whichever was lower, per year. So that one, that would potentially impact our funding. Ashley Hinson, community project funding. This is one Corey and I talked about last week. She's got a yearly allocation where she assists some communities with projects, and it's a fairly significant dollar amount that they're willing to do. That's when we thought might make sense to improve Grand Avenue there by the fairgrounds. Looking through some of the previous ones, it probably wouldn't get approved for just a road project, but as Corey and I talked, if we included, if the city and us went together and included some utilities, stormwater, water, that sort of thing for potential future development along there and to improve that might be something that we could look into. That is due for this year, the 27th, I believe.
27th of February,
Yeah.
so I don't know if we could pull it off.
So yeah, I don't
this
know
year's, but
if we'd be able to get that turned around fast enough for this year, but maybe that's something we look at, getting some preliminary plans together for next year and get with the city and.
there were several 4 million plus projects
Yeah.
in the previous years, and I just think the messaging, if we did it jointly with the city, would
Yep.
be better received, but.
And you incorporate the,
What does the basic submittal have to?
What your plan is.
yeah, it'd have to essentially be a high-level plan of what the project would be.
Engineer's estimate.
Yeah,
There's traffic needs. There's a lot of things that the city could work their side to incorporate. I mean,
yeah.
when you look at fair traffic, I think it warrants a conversation with maybe James and Justin.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing, if we want to get something put together, at least to start the conversation.
Yeah.
And
That's a great idea. I think unfortunately it could be a huge missed opportunity because, she may not be in that position.
Right.
Next year.
Yeah, but it's open to all legislators.
It is,
Yeah.
but she's done a really good job
She
of
really
reaching
has,
out,
yeah.
and not all legislators over the years have reached out.
Right.
So,
And Sumner was a beneficiary of daycare a few
yeah,
years ago.
she's been very
It's-
supportive of
Yeah.
our district people.
I'll get with the city and kind of feel them out and see what their thoughts are, and we can go from there.
It's a 80-20 match, and
Yeah.
we figured it out.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Awesome. Thank you.
The one other one, I actually did speak with Justin this morning. They've got some preliminary design details on the Ivanhoe Trail Bridge. So kind of what we talked through with that, kind of being a joint project, is probably the easiest thing to do to split any costs we incur through that, is just to put together an agreement up front that says, for the duration of the project, here's how the funds will be split. So he was gonna have the designer kind of look into the comparative costs of the two portions of the project and give us an idea on that, so we can put together something here to get that moving.
Does their plan include straightening that
Yep.
curve?
Yep,
So there'd be some land purchases?
yep. And that would probably be a big share
Right.
of our portion of it, would be acquiring that and straightening that road, so.
But it would be a real huge.
Hugely beneficial, yep. So I will get that. He was gonna get back with their designer this morning and have them
Is
kind
he
of work
thinking
through
FY
that.
27 or 28?
I think they were thinking FY 27. I'll circle back and make sure. They were pretty flexible with it, but that was, last I knew, they were looking at FY 27, so,
Awesome.
yeah.
Good.
And I believe that is all I have this morning.
Will that be designed so that if there ever became a hard surface between the two that would be, facilitate that?
Yep, that's what we discussed. We had a meeting quite a while ago with their design team and talked through some of that. Because even if it doesn't get, even if it never gets paved, designing it that way would be so much significantly safer than what we've got there now. That I think it's worth to bite the bullet up front, even if that never comes to fruition. Then you've got
I think
a
long
safe
term,
road
you're
through
gonna,
there, yeah.
somebody's gonna feel a lot of pressure to
Right.
hard surface that road. So,
Not you, right, Dewey?
I might be the pressuring person.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
gonna
what
become a
we're worried about.
lobbyist for the folks in Denver.
All right.
Anybody out there in Denver listening?
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, that's all I have this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Landon.
Lindsay, we have one topic review a minor plat for parcel 100320006.
Minor plat for Summer Farm, splitting it into 3 parcels for family estate planning.
We have a motion on this?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we're in discussion. Tell us any concerns or anything.
No concerns.
Looked really straightforward.
Yep.
I instantly thought it was a mistake.
Okay. Fantastic. This will be resolution what?
26-20.
All approval of resolution 2620, say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That has been approved.
Alright, that's all I
Anything
got.
else?
That's all.
Thanks, Lindsay. Nate didn't get off that easy. He was in here a long time. Did you forward something for the farm? Did anybody?
Didn't you forward us some?
Did you forward us something from the farm for this discussion here today?
From these guys, yes, he did send an email.
I thought I.
Getting started here in a minute or two.
Sounds good. Good morning.
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 How are you doing? Good, right up here?
Yep, right.
Awesome.
Just remind you, we're on YouTube, so
Okay.
it's going to be televised, so.
You betcha.
We'll start in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Comfortable. You got any handouts other than the stuff that?
I know we don't. No. I think we emailed some, I think Shelley. Okay, perfect.
Very good.
Yep, thank you.
Was it for a long drive?
Yeah, you know what, we left, what, about 7, about a little before 7, but, yeah, easy drive, you know what, out driving, this is great weather, so I'll take it. So is Ken no longer, is he?
Retired and.
Bob.
I'm trying to replace it.
Okay.
Ken 2.0 Bob.
Because it's been a while since we were here with you guys. Yeah. Yeah, no, a great drive. I mean, it's actually I was here. My son plays football for UNI, and we were up here for the weekend, and he had a teammate that actually played basketball at Wartburg over the weekend, and we thought, oh, I'm just going to come here we're going to come back here on Tuesday. So we ate at that other place, the pizza place there on the OP2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great pizza. Yeah. So yeah, ironically, we were here this weekend, this last weekend.
Tough weekend for UNI football.
Yes, yeah, and actually, my son knew him really well. He was a true freshman. My son's a redshirt freshman. Great, just in practice, he was actually, they were sprinting, and then the kid, he collapsed, and everybody's like, oh, he kind of giving him crap a little bit, because they didn't know, and he didn't get up, and so not sure if it was a defect on his heart or something, but they did heart surgery like the day before, and he passed away. Yeah, he's only 18, and nice kid, great parents. Yeah, it's just a sad deal. My son's a DN, defensive end, and so they went against each other. So, yeah, it's just life's short.
Right.
I think what I'll do here is I'll go through the services, make sure. And if you want to talk a little bit about the conditions and things like that.
What did you send that, Shelley?
Yeah.
I'm finding it.
Thursday, 2/12. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. I'm on Tom's. I already pulled up Shelley. Sorry.
You forward it to me, Corey?
Yeah, I'm going back to it.
And we'll start.
Thursday, 2/12, 2:36 p.m. It's external upcoming.
When was the last time you were here? Was that last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I just,
I did want me to forward it to you.
I think
Yeah.
I just poked in last year. I wasn't at the meeting, I think I just stopped in and said hi quick.
Yeah, because I think it's been almost 3 years since, maybe 2.5 years since I was here.
Alrighty.
Yep.
We have time, so why don't you, Jared and Greg, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell the public a little bit about E4 Crop Intelligence,
Sure.
what you guys do, and then we'll get into
Yep.
the full form.
I'm Greg Rice. I'm president of E4 Crop Intelligence. We provide precision ag and crop consulting services for farmers and landowners and retailers throughout the state of Iowa. We've had the opportunity to work with Bremer County on their farms, and just coming here today to go over kind of the last few years that the services that we provided to you on your farm. And so with that, I'll give it to Jared.
Yep, I'm Jared Moser. I'm an agronomist and salesman at E4. Part of my position is also account management and stuff like that, so I kind of work with or head along with Greg the Bremer County account and what we do on an agronomic standpoint for Bremer County.
Good. So now we're going to get a 2025 crop and fertilizer summary and kind of discuss where we're at for 2006. So,
Sure. I think what I'll do is I'll have Jared, you want to talk a little bit about the last few years. I think the last time I was here was about 2.5 years ago.
Sure.
And just to kind of go over, we do have a 3-year contract that you signed with us, and I just want to basically follow up, make sure that we're delivering what we say we delivered, and making sure that you have all the information that we said we'd provide for you. So I'm going to have, as Jared being a manager of the account, I'm going to have him talk about that.
Sure, yep. So this past year, 2025, overall went very, very well. I believe I sent out a summary to Shelley there right at the end of the year. I think it was actually December 31st. We got a book together and everything there. I would say this year went well. Everybody got things to us in a timely manner. Fertilizer got applied according to our recommendations, so that went well. Getting data back was overall very consistent. Overall, throughout the year, working with guys, I had the chance to meet with them once throughout the year. Came over this way, did some scouting on the fields, met with each grower, go over everything for them. And yeah, I was very pleased with how the year went and previous years. That first year was kind of, getting to know the grower, kind of us finding our place within the area a little bit. Had a few bumps in the road, but overall I think the last few years went very, very well. Going into 2026, we're as far as where we're at right now, we have fertilizer on 3 of the 4 fields. We have one grower that likes to apply more of the spring fertilizer rather than in the fall, which is completely fine with how we work with them there. So fertilizer's on, and going from there, it sounds like moving into the year, everything's on track for where we want to be, and planting season will be here before we know it, kind of thing. So we're going to be moving into that here shortly. So I would say everything's looking good on our end, and of course open it up to you guys for any questions about how that's kind of where I want to start from my own personal sake of working over here a lot and working with the growers and working with you guys to make sure if there's anything we can improve on our end, anything I can personally improve on, or if you have any questions about how the years have gone in the past. So.
Do any of them use manure anymore?
No. Part of the, I think part of the contract is that we didn't have the manure. We didn't want to. We have some. I was looking through your lease. I think with the inputs, making sure that manure would be a great asset to that. But as far as keeping track of that on a basically like on a level for. Make sure that our P and K and our lime and everything is on. Manure was put on 3 years ago or what have you, but this year was, and because of the record keeping, part of this whole process, what we really wanted to do is try to, so we can do our job. Sometimes it's a little difficult when you have 4 fields and the way you bid on those farms. Sometimes you don't know if you're going to work with 3 growers, 1 grower, 4 growers. It can be a little clunky, trying to make sure that things are getting done the way they are supposed to be getting done. So this kind of led into another question I have for you is part of your process of bidding, and like I said, I want to stay in my lane on the nutrient provided services, but to do that, sometimes we have a little bit more. It would be nice to simplify, whether it's with a 1 grower approach rather than all 4 fields, just a suggestion. But it's trying to gather from a co-op that spreads it, making sure they give us the as-applied data to make sure it gets done correctly. The first year was a little clunky because you call 10 times sometimes and you can't get that information.
I recall that.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was due to the manure applications
Yes, sir.
that were occurring,
Yeah.
and the inconsistency in that. I guess that leads me to my next big question. The legislature is hearing about this all the time, so I want to know what we in Bremer County for our land are doing for making certain that we're monitoring the chemicals that we are putting on, and its relativity to getting into our water supplies in that area. So obviously your analysis and your records would help in that way. So can you comment on that?
Yeah. So right now is a lot of what regulate. So if you're putting manure on, there's certain steps you need to have. Whether the soil testing we're doing every 3 years for your farm, which we're in compliance on that as far as making sure that our phosphorus levels, number 1, phosphorus and nitrogen. That's going to be the one, as far as on a environmental side of things. We do keep track of, when you're keeping track of what's in the soil and what we put on the soil, we're basically doing our checks and balances and make sure that we're not over applying. We're not under applying as well for the farmer to get his his highest level of production out there. So one thing we're doing with the GPS specific soil sampling is we're trying to take his yield data, which is part of bringing that harvest data inside to, last year, 3 of the farms we got data from is 245 bushels an acre, which, are some of these yield goals. We want to make sure that we're, they're going to pay a higher cash rent. We make sure that they can make, they're trying to make money as well. We don't have the $7 corn that we had, 3 years ago. Now it's going to be a little bit tougher, when your price of grain is down in the $4 range. And so part of that, I know it's kind of an extended answer here, Dewey, but it's basically we are doing on the soil testing side and the record keeping side. That's we're there on the compliance side. Is it because we're the record keeping?
We need that information because occasionally we'll have somebody saying, well, you're spending money on property management, what are they actually doing for you?
Yes.
And that would be one of my answers. So
Yeah.
the follow-up, and then I'll let those guys, but my follow-up to that is, what about the pesticides and the weed control? Do we also monitor that, or do you not get involved in
yeah, that's a great question. I know being our first year with you, we want to try to capture as much, any application that goes on your farm. The pesticides, we would love to have that information. Sometimes we don't get 100% of it. I know we're getting planting data. We're getting obviously the soil testing and fertilizer data. We're also getting the yield data. And so, but as far as the pesticide side of things, rely on the farmer. He's got to do his due diligence and making sure that he's not over applying as well. So again, trying to record, in this lease agreement, what have you, it does say anything that we can get, any information we can get from that, we would love to have, as we start building your book. So as far as the record keeping on the chemical side, part of the farmer has to make sure that he's doing his due diligence on that side. He does have his applicator's license, his pesticide license. But as far as on the data side, that would be one thing that we would love to have, if we can get it.
But it's in here, it says providers to gather regarding planting, spraying, herbicide, tillage, and et cetera from tenants. That's in our agreement.
Yes, yeah, and so have they got you any of the data on that?
I've gotten some fungicide data and herbicide data
Yep.
for a pre and post program the past year, not the pesticide.
Yeah, the pesticide. So
I guess my question is our contract with the producer strong enough to get you that data, or is it something that we need to update in future contracts?
I think, being part of, like I said, part of gathering data, obviously the most, it is clunky, I'll be honest with you. When we try to get data, we call multiple times on trying to grab that data. And so if you have the farmer that's responsible of applying that field, who applied it? Did he apply it? Did the co-op apply it? We need to have records come back on that. So I think, Dewey, maybe that's part of, him getting that to us, but we have not, some of that, they tell us they do it, but we don't have any as applied data that we would like to have there. Now, when I say as applied data, that's GPS, whether it's from a mapping system, whether that's from his tractor, his sprayer, is it from the retailer? We need to have that data, so we constantly ask for it, so getting that is one thing. To be honest, it's sometimes you're not going to get it all. But as far as a requirement, from the grower, I would say it's in here.
So the challenge then is to communicate better maybe with us to the grower to make certain?
I would say the first year, there was I think there was a lack of communication there, I would say, between this contract, because when we first reached out to these growers, now, after 2 years, we got a nice relationship now, but who are we? And we basically, I think the communication, would help on your side to them, that would push them to get that data to us, because we can keep calling them, and sometimes, after 10, 12 times, and not saying that we did 10, 12 times, but there's a lot of times that he's reached out. But now, though, they have been very receptive, and that's why sometimes these 3-year agreements, it's great. I'm sure there's
Now we're about to end and got to maybe start over.
Yeah, then we got to start over again, and the way, and like I said, I want to stay in my lane. But I know if we want to do the best job we can for you, is, it's nice just working with one, but if you got to work with 4, we get it. But I think we could have better records and a little bit more of a sense of, again, it's not my decision, as it's yours, do you do a different, after a 3, do you do a longer lease? I don't know. That's, like I said, I want to stay in my lane. But as far as, when things are tight in the farming side and they bid high bids, they need to make money too. So it's on both sides. There was a little pushback there at the beginning on trying to get data. Just to be honest with you, and because they're very protective as well. And so getting data before, I think you were just getting a bunch of documentation. I think prior, but we wanted to digitize that world for you. So we have everything digitized as much as we can, as much as we get. But if they could just simply bring their bills, like they on those farms. The problem is sometimes what we want to do is bring the more the innovative side of things, is let's bring the GPS as applied data in, so we know that that's actually been done. And so that's actually, we work with lots of other customers that are in the same realm, but the more that we can, we have good relationships with both your tenants now. And Nathan is really, really, really very good. He's very receptive, and he's got that cycle down. Okay, I got the trust factor. I got the data. I've worked with these guys. I know these guys are doing, and we always tell them, hey, we're trying to do our job. And so sometimes there's some pushback there a little bit, I'll be honest. But again, as a farmer myself, I'm the same way. They want to make sure, I think that could be a communicative level, I think on your side, help push that for the next tenant, in the future. The more that they can be receptive to us, the better it makes it for everybody, because we're, being that first year with you, records, it's on our mind. And we know the planning data, we have all the planning data the last 3 years, we have all the yield data, and right then and there, that was more than what you ever had. So, the soil testing side, the as-applied data, working with the retail, there's a lot of tentacles to this. And so to manage that effectively, I think it really comes down to the agreement, on really what we can, do they have the GPS capabilities? Do they have
in most cases, you probably work with clients that don't have more than a year lease, or do they do year-to-year rental? And we don't do it that way. We
Yes,
do
sir.
the 3-year. Refresh my memory, maybe Corey, you can. I know we talked about 4 and 5 years the last time we did it, but there were some concerns about extending them out too far as well. Or Shelley, you maybe remember the
I
conversation?
think the concern was just the fluctuation in yield.
Yeah.
The line typically is a 4-year cycle.
Yeah.
But I think then there was.
Yield fluctuation and the value of the crop itself, we felt that 3 was the best compromise.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when we first did the first agreement, I think corn was at that $7 range, and, whether it's at the higher cash rents could be supported, but now it's, down, as we know. So I think I get that. I'm just wondering, is that the line 3 years is great, but, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, your bidding process is on 4 fields, right? And so, again, that's not my wheelhouse there with you, but the fields that we help manage on some aspects, Dewey, is some agreements are they're at that 3 to 5 year-ish kind of thing. The longer, it gives more peace of mind to that grower to do more things. You know, there's actually, the other thing is also tile. I really think that farm, I mean, you had the ability, I mean, we've been on there for a couple of years now, and tile is a big thing. And so whether you could work that into a longer agreement where guys could, you know, maybe, or you could maybe afford the tile. I think tile is probably one that I would suggest in the future, very near future, for your farm.
Yeah, we've done like a 10-year agreements where they pay for it, but they have a locked-in 10-year.
Sure.
So.
Sure. And I mean, our job is, as being consultants, obviously we're trying to record keep and maintain your fertility. That's the number one thing here. But so that's been going well. It's been getting applied like what we want it. But it's the other management parts of that maybe inhibits the yield because of maybe your cash rents could be more fluctuative on that side as far as maybe trying to work with your drainage, your tiling side of things.
Do we have tile maps of what's currently there?
What was that?
Do we have tile maps on those parcels?
I don't know that we have the actual real time.
I think that, Corey, the last real conversation we had about tiling was that they were looking at whatever that process is to drop one in between.
That's what I'm wondering,
almost
if we're
every
at
one of
80,
the lines.
if we're at 80 and want to go to 40, or what the
Do you
situation is.
do you have that GPS map by chance? Your tile map?
That's what I was asking. I don't.
Yeah.
That would be in your file that you have in your office somewhere that Ken was keeping.
Now you tell me.
Yeah, I don't expect you to find it.
No, I think I might have disposed of if
Is it in the book that you sent to us?
We didn't get any
We
tile
wouldn't get any
stuff.
tile stuff, but that's probably the biggest thing, I guess, today is this talk about is that for the next 3 years is might be something as a possible improvement on your farm there.
Do you manage, on the topic of leases, do you manage any flex leases?
Yes, I do. I could send you some examples. I don't know if, and I know that there's multiple years contracts. I mean, I have guys that are on 3 to 5 and then they do that flex. Yeah, obviously it's a year by year, in that's time span. I do have some innovative ones I could email you if you would like to
take a
see.
look at those with Darius. And
if government could be allowed to do
Yeah,
some of those
somebody,
things,
I
yes.
think.
What's that?
If government could
Was
be
it
allowed to
Casey or
use it, I don't
Darius
know.
that
Okay.
The last time we had this conversation, didn't like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because we have to go out to
Yeah, we
bid. I mean,
did.
there's
If we could
certain
make it an
governmental-
extendable contract.
Yeah.
Do you do any
Excuse
other?
me. Go ahead.
Do you do any other governmental leases?
I don't, no.
Okay.
No. Yeah, because this is a little different, obviously, than
Yes.
what I'm used to. But you tell me what constraints you have of certain things. I mean, I can help. If you need some assistance or guidance with that, I can share what, and maybe you can tweak on, some of the ideas that are on that lease. But I think that's where the, management of the farm, obviously, the fertility, I think we have down well. Getting more of that information, like the spraying stuff, I'd love to get that more. I think we get everything else except that, and what they're putting on you did get some fungicide on there.
I got a little bit, and
Yeah.
fungicide goes by the year. Some years they do it, some years they don't,
Apply it, yeah.
kind of thing.
And with two, excuse me, with two tenants, one's, I'm not just gonna, some are better than others. And so as more as that we can get more connected to them. Sometimes it takes about a year or two to get them your trust of, getting into their data.
Well, and some of them have better equipment that's
Yeah.
easier for them to
Yeah.
collaborate the data to get to you, and that It
some,
used to be a problem anyway. I don't know if it is anymore.
it's
but-
getting better, Dewey, but I tell you the one thing is even some of these, maybe they might have the technology, but they don't embrace it very well. You know, they don't know how to snag it, but we're experts in that. I'd love to, if they could at least just like give the reins to us a little bit, you know, we can grab it and get it done. But I think it's getting better, don't get me wrong, but I think it's the yield data and the planting data is the most important. And that's what we're getting because, especially on your fertility side of things, at least we have we have input and output, you know, we can measure for you. So,
We've been fortunate to have very good tenants.
Yeah. Oh,
Over
absolutely.
the years, and
Yeah.
we especially have good ones now.
yes, oh, without a doubt.
We've had others that have been very good too.
Yeah, and
But I think that, again, that is a serious discussion about the tiling that, you know, we've had it before. The producers have asked us to consider it.
Yeah.
The tiling company that has gone over and done a lot of repairs has recommended that we look at something.
Sure.
It's just that it costs so much.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like for a
And-
farmer.
Yeah, and, I mean, we've had, you know, this is probably not a good example for you, but, you know, we have, some tenants that, you know, instead of 3 years, you know, they're more like 5 or 6 years, and they maybe offset and help pay for that tile, you know, and those things.
Yeah, like I said, we did one with 10, so they
Yeah.
paid for the whole thing, and we gave them
Yeah, yeah,
leased it for 10 years.
yeah. And I think that would be, yeah.
So, so this is a good little presentation. I mean, we'll have a renewal, so we're not gonna do the renewal today, right?
We've renewed their contract already for next year.
Okay. So that's renewed. When's our rental agreements up?
We'll rebid next August, September
Okay.
of
So,
this year.
so we want to probably have a discussion on the length of time and tiling before that. Okay.
Last time we took action, it was mid-December when we accepted bids and opened them, so yeah, that conversation probably needs to start by July.
Yeah.
We
To get
opened
everything
them in
September, yeah.
Well, the first conversation, that if you're gonna go down that road, would be to have it with legal to make sure that we can do a
Yep.
very long lease.
Yeah, I guess we have to send them the notice by September 1st, a notice that the terminating, even though the contract sends it, you still have to send that official notice by September 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's, no, you know, I think, that's probably our main thing is, you know, the data side is one thing. I do believe here, we're on our 3rd year with you here, we've gotten pretty close to the, Jared has, not myself, but, I do talk to Nathan every once in a while, for example. He talks to Rick quite a bit too, obviously, but, very, very good to work with. I mean, you know, of course, you gotta gain their trust and make sure, hey, we're not trying to steal anything here, we're trying to work for the county and make sure we get everything, so, that's what we're after, and, but I know you've established some really good communication with those guys.
Great relationship, they're great, both of them are great to work with,
Yeah.
for the most part.
And Nathan especially, because he's got 3 of the 4 fields, tile comes up, you know,
Yeah.
and, so.
Okay, so, in July time period, let's talk about rental agreements and see, what we can do. So that's, and then, we can be ready by August, September, make sure the letters go out timely, so.
I don't know, this is where I'm gonna ask the farmer, I guess. What time of year do you have? We have everything timed around budgets and
Yeah.
fiscal years here, so
Yep.
if we were to give consideration to tiling one or all of the fields,
Yep.
what would be the timeline for when we would need to be asking for bids for the tiling?
I mean, you know, I would say that, I mean, you could do one right now. You know, you could, I mean, as far as getting a bid, I mean, that might be, you could do that now. You could do that from now to the fall, you know,
We
obviously.
almost need, I think we almost need to have at least a quote.
Yeah, just a quote, yeah.
So we know if, that might factor into the conversation about the length of the contract.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is very unique weather we're having right now. I got guys are tiling right now. Not that would be today.
I talked to Tyler on Saturday, and he
Yeah.
said there's still 16 inches of frost.
Maybe you got we're down more south than you, but we got even guys even south even running on some anhydrous a little bit, which is interesting.
They want to get
southern
out
Iowa.
there, really.
But yeah, I would just say Dewey and Bob. I mean, I would just say that I would say between now and just at least get a quote. At least then what you're dealing with on your next lease extension or lease agreement.
Okay.
Well, and their schedules, because they can only take on so much work, so.
Yeah, right. And maybe like you said, you do one field at a time, and again, you guys can.
That makes the rental agreements messier. It'd be nice to do them all.
Yeah.
All 4 fields you think needed?
Not about the
Three
D.
of the 4.
3 of the 4.
Yes, the A,
D,
B, and C.
D by the landfill is probably not as much.
Not quite as
Yeah.
much.
But that definitely could be taken into consideration there, Bob. So, just.
That's a small field, though.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing it.
That one, as far as like production wise, is the lower side of the things. Not saying that's a limitation is the water, but I know, you tell me, Jared, I mean,
Yeah,
and
the
we
A,
can
B,
talk
and
to
C are the
Dude.
main ones for sure. Yeah, D not quite as much, but.
Yeah.
And help me out here. A, B, and C are by the core farm, and then D
Yes.
is by the landfill.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Significant CSR difference.
Yeah, there's a difference there. Yeah. And yield history on those farms, I mean, yeah, last year did pretty well. I thought, the 2024 was the kind of a tougher year, but, for yield, but, last year did pretty decent.
Part of that might have been fertilizer application in the past. So.
Yep. And the other thing is that the other thing is also, when you talk to some of the tenants, like, the limitation is, look how much rain we got last, we had in some counties, I know in some counties in Iowa had about 12 inches of rainfall in July. So what are we doing with that extra water? So if it can do 245, I think that would really substantially help, I know cash rents are one thing, but helps off the yield. That yield would offset quite a bit of things if you can get that done. But
All right, why don't you get some samples to Shelley about some leases with some tile agreements in there. And then we'll look at those, and then, so Dewey, you're thinking, get a quote here this summer.
I think that would be very wise, maybe even yet this spring, because the summer, you don't want them running around in the fields.
Yeah.
When there's crops in them.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we'll see what Mother Nature does, but it might be beneficial to a guy to do something now.
Right.
I mean, because we're in between, no one's really out there yet, kind of thing, but.
That's something that you guys can't facilitate getting a quote on
We could help with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you want us to reach out to, reach out to 3 people, we certainly can. I mean, you guys would know, this area, you just tell me whatever you want us to do.
Yeah, Little's not, I can't remember, but yeah, he's out of it. He's sold out.
Corporal?
You guys might know better than even what we
Chad,
know. We can.
Corporal and Smith probably.
I know, Nathan, because he farms it, his family does that too, so I don't know. That's the first one I would think of, but again, that's up to you guys, that's your.
Get 3, get a quote, see what we can do, and then let's meet with you guys again.
Okay. You want us to get 3, or?
Yeah, is that okay?
Are you gonna charge us to get that?
No.
Because
No.
We could if.
Well, I was just gonna say, you tell me what you want. I mean, we could definitely, I know one is Nate's, because we've been talking to Nate quite a bit. They do it, his family in a roundabout way does it. I think his father-in-law, something, you would know better than I would. But if there's two more that you want to suggest, I mean, go for it. You just tell me, Bob, what you want, or Dewey or Corey, anybody, you let me know.
Like you said, Chad Heim, and who else?
Smith Excavating out of Sunland.
So those two, plus him, if you can facilitate getting quotes and then show us some leases, and then we can come back with a plan on how to lease this out.
Okay.
With that incorporated in.
Yep.
And then you'll 5-year, 8-year, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'll be prepared. Okay.
You want us to come back here in July?
July, June, I mean.
Okay.
And you probably could do it virtually if you'd prefer,
Okay.
rather than traveling. I mean, we're
Gotcha.
set up pretty good.
I think we could, 15 minutes, we could talk over that. Just a
Need to drive
virtual.
for 3 hours to
Yeah.
talk.
No, we had to come over in this neck of the woods anyway.
Yeah, and if you
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
just arrange in your schedule.
Perfect.
Okay, we're gonna be over
Yeah.
here, let's meet then,
Awesome.
okay?
Is there any other questions on the book that we provide on anybody?
I don't have any other questions at all.
Okay.
Is it good? I mean, is the soil holding steady? I think that was one of our biggest things with the soil testing. And
Yeah, so I'm glad to see a yield gain in 2025. Number one, now a lot of that's weather too, but I think if we can, we can do everything, that we can fertility wise, but if we don't have drainage, and you guys, I'm speaking to the choir, but that's one thing where that's a gauge of yield as well. So having proper drainage, but fertility wise, we will, if you want to extend the contract, we would obviously soil sample in the fall again. That'd be the third year. And then we can kind of see, where we're at, on that. But we want to maintain. Now that we get the yield data, we know that we got 245, 215. We're actually fertilizing accordingly, and even also putting some builds in here in this contract. So
You're talking to an old farm kid here that was on the farm in the 60s and 70s, and the Orangeburg or clay tile was the tile used, and it was only where it was absolutely necessary. So for me, saying, well, you got to drain the water off so the crop does better seems almost counterproductive, because everybody's always saying, gosh, we really need a rain so the crops will do well. You want rain, but you want to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have to worry about getting rid of it process, its impact on getting it into the water supply.
Yes.
So
it's
a lot of challenges there.
I think as far as the soil sampling on a 3-year thing, that'll help us maintain our levels, which, back to you, what you mentioned, Ken, or Dewey, sorry, that we can, that measurement from the soil testing does, it's usually phosphorus. It's not so much, it's not nitrogen, but we do want to know how much nitrogen went down. But it's the phosphorus is the one for hypoxia and in the streams and stuff like that. We don't see from your soil test levels or weigh levels like a highly, highly manured field by all means, but everything's in check on that end.
Good.
Any other questions?
I don't have any others. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I do,
Yeah.
real quick. You mentioned Chad Heim. Who was the second one you guys said, so I can write it down for the tile? Smith.
I think I have a phone number for him.
Shelley, can you maybe grab those numbers, or if they have numbers from those guys, we can, or gals?
Yeah, you can email them.
Or whoever can get me those.
Okay. You good, Shelley?
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know, I think you mentioned this earlier, but I just wanted to clarify,
Sure.
also talking about currently the lease agreement being for each individual field. We had also maybe mentioned on the way over here, as for a simplifying, having one grower maybe for all 4 instead of, because like we talked about the bumps in the roads earlier, how that can be difficult with the grower, I think, or just at the beginning. I think into next year, if there's an individual farmer for each one of those fields, I mean, gaining data through that is complicated. The more people you add, the it gets more complicated that way, and I don't know if we mentioned it earlier, maybe you did, I
yeah.
apologize if
No,
you
you're
did.
good.
But,
No, I'm glad you're reiterating.
one
it,
for
though.
all four is also maybe something to think about, or a suggestion in regards to the management of them.
The challenge with that is because we're a public entity.
Right,
and that's
yeah,
Trying
yeah.
to say that
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
we don't, you would almost, I would think, have to then consolidate all parcels and just rent it as one farm instead of renting.
The
as
alternative to
separate
that would be
fields.
to amend your agreement with us
Yeah.
to show a itemized cost for multiple growers, to condition your agreement.
Sure.
If we were in that case where we had multiple. So there's two different ways you could approach that, but yeah, I mean, the simplest on our end would be, but yeah, we couldn't take a loss of rent because that wouldn't be doing our responsibility to the taxpayer.
I don't know why, has it ever historically been rented as one? It hasn't since I've been here, but I don't know why you wouldn't, because there are farmers that would prefer that, rather than having to drag equipment around.
I can look at the 1990s bids and see if anything was different in the 90s. That's where we kind of started.
It would obviously be more, but I understand. It would be obviously be the most simplest to manage, I mean, be more streamlined and I think grabbing the data and everything from one entity rather than four it can be pretty difficult.
I think the intent was there with the bidders the last time around to try to capture all four parcels. And there was just, a few dollars an acre difference was the deciding factor, so.
Yeah, yeah.
That's something, we can discuss, but I can go either way. Alrighty. Thank you very much for your time, and you'll be getting back to us on when we want to meet next, June-ish, July-ish.
Perfect. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks. Yep, thank you. Thank you.
So I forgot, we extended their contract when?
Just looked at it this morning, yeah, September, October, I think it was October.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So Ken was the keeper of the tiling maps.
He was the keeper of the county home, or all the farm out there.
Because the tile maps are supposed to be under the mattress.
Anytime we had a discussion about anything out there, he'd walk in his office, pull out 2 or 3 maps that were relevant, bring them out to us. They're all laminated.
Okay.
I don't have time, so you have the 2 snow ones.
Good morning.
I can send you mine.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Don't hide. I'm gonna have you hide this time, okay?
Sure, enough battery. Okay. Just passing on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
here.
Just put one on your chair here.
Okay.
Hey.
Hey Eric, this is Scott. We're in the boardroom, about ready to get started.
All right. Patrick is on a service trip this week, so you get the B team.
Okay, we're gonna start here in like 3 minutes, just,
Okay.
Once again, we're gonna be on YouTube, so, and our agenda item says 11:15, so.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's go through do introductions, and then we'll get started for the public.
Okay. So my name is Jonathan Daniels with Myron.
Tom Zahalka with Myron.
Steve Heine with Myron.
Great. Alrighty.
So we're here to talk about the bid results for Phase 2, as well as alternate selection. So the spreadsheet that you've got in front of you there is a summary of all pricing received for bid package 2, as well as the alternates associated with it. And then in the box below the yellow line are other budget items for your consideration. Those are not part of the construction contract, or would not be part of the construction contract, but just items as part of the overall project to keep in mind. So on the left column there, the bid amount, that's the base bid. Already paid and left to pay on current contract are the Phase 1 amounts. So that is the parking lot from Phase 1, as well as the elevator that was purchased in Phase 1. And then really that column just to the left of the red line are what was bid out. So that $7.7 million number would be the construction amount for the second phase that we're talking about. When all bids were received, the $7.7 million is approximately $206,000 higher than our estimate, and of that, the electrical bid was $420,000 higher than last time. So all in, all the numbers came plus or minus in line, except for electrical. We had qualified 3 bidders for the electrical bids, but at the last second, 2 of the bidders did not bid, only 1 bid. And that bidder was the same bidder who was quite high last time. So we did some homework after that and canvassed the market again to understand what happened, why the other two bidders didn't bid. In addition, we called other electrical contractors to try to inquire if we were to bid the electrical package again, would they be interested? And to date, we've had 4 electrical contractors say that they would bid. 2 are a potential, and there's still responses yet to receive. So it'd be our recommendation that we didn't get enough coverage on the electrical. It's much higher than the estimate and the low bid from last time, and that we would go out for rebid on that package. We looked at the time frames. So in the bid specifications for the package that bid, we had a bid hold out until mid-April. We could rebid the electrical package by 3/18, following all the requirements of Iowa Code for minimum bid time period and qualifications. And that would put us at a 3/24 board meeting for confirmation of those bids, which is still a couple weeks ahead of the mid-April deadline to have to decide on those bids. Was there for any questions?
The bid alternate list that you just handed out, can you tell me which of those items were in the original bid that was 6 months ago, or whenever that was? Clearly the parking lot, the first one is a new one, so it's not, but are all the rest of them things that were in the original bid but now are looked at as alternates?
There are.
No.
Let's go one by one. So, talking about increased TPO roof membrane to 80 mils. Is that in before or out?
That was an alternate last time.
Not in.
Okay. Replace existing VAV controllers.
I believe that was an alternate last time as well.
So not in the base bid scope.
Give me just 1 sec. I'll bring up
Let's
that
confirm
list.
that.
I want to make sure that I'm saying it right. I mean, you can keep going. I'm just
So,
gonna bring it
and
up.
then the next one is operator room partition. That's brand new. That was something.
Yeah.
Lobby 126 storefront.
That was in last time?
That was in last time?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
The partition was in
There we go.
last time.
Okay. I
Was
got
that-
the list.
The
brought up.
partition was in the base bid last time too.
Oh, okay.
So it's this, yep, so I do have the old list up, we're correct so far, yep.
Garage laundry system.
That was a new idea, so that would have been in last time.
It wouldn't have been in?
It would have been
It would have
in.
been.
Yep.
Terrazzo.
That would have been base bid last time, yep.
Tile corridor.
That was a cost savings idea, and that was not an alternate last time.
But it was in the bid, original bid last time.
So
To do
last,
something with the floor,
so it's the floor base bid last time was terrazzo.
right?
This time, we're saying, what if we got rid of the terrazzo and replaced it with tile, how much would we save?
This was a more
And-
deduct option.
Right, so that idea was not part of the bid
Gotcha.
process last time.
7 and 8 kind of go together. You do one or the other.
Right.
Okay. Generator enclosure.
Was not included.
Tile behind the drinking fountains.
That would have been base bid
Last time.
last time, yep.
Drinking fountains on second and third.
Base bid last time.
Add roller shades.
Base bid last time.
Add treasurer's office work.
Would have been an alternate.
Would have been, yeah, that's been that's been adjusted a little bit, scope-wise since the last one. It's not exactly apples to apples, I guess.
And then the last one's a deduct for the snow, get rid of it.
We did not have the snow melt system. Last time was an alternate to
Remove
add.
snow belt
Alternate
system.
to add, yep.
So Dewey, does that kind of answer your question?
does.
Okay.
It doesn't, it doesn't, because it doesn't, I'd need to go back and try to add up all these numbers to see what the value of all those alternates are, which you could do, I guess.
Yeah, we've got a spreadsheet if you want. Which numbers do you want added?
I see you have them there, so I can do that.
Okay. And I do have a spreadsheet up too, so we can do some math in real time if you'd like. I can hit yes or no right next to them, and then we'll have a total at the bottom in real time if you want to.
Great.
Do you want to touch on the electrical, the overage on that? It seemed like that was mostly in data cabling, is what the feedback you received.
So the feedback we received were from the two bidders that decided not to bid. One said they were having trouble locating a Division 27 sub-bid, and the other said it was purely a matter of resources and being able to devote the time to it.
And they're two of the ones that are now willing to submit.
One is still a maybe, one said they will bid.
Okay.
And so,
And to help me out, so the electrical is 949. That's the column the row you're looking at. And
Yep.
in my sheet, what was the original? What was your estimate for that?
Our estimate was $655, and the previous time that we bid, the low bid was $528.
Alrighty.
Do you want to go through the
So
alternate list?
will you go real time on that then and add those back in? Number 4.
number 4, yes. Okay.
Number 5.
Okay.
Number 6.
6 in.
Number 7.
7 in. Okay.
Number 10. 11.
Got it. 10, 11.
12. And I don't know what to say about 13, because when you can't compare one to the other, it's hard. So.
We can add it in for now.
Yeah.
But you also have to take that $71,000 deduct for the snow melt to be apples to apples.
Right.
So that comes up to 166.
Even or some?
166,208. So if we were to add that to the 206. Be 372.
372 over would be an apples to apples comparison from the previous bid. Is that?
Yes. Yep. And electrical by itself is 420,000.
Yeah.
So all other scopes would be roughly 1,500.
So Corey, obviously, from the bid list, and this is probably Scott and Corey, is what Dewey said, do we need to include all those, or where are we at?
Well, we did an exercise Thursday afternoon, just identifying what Scott and I felt were should be included and should not, and that was, I suggested Thursday afternoon that we bring that exercise quickly to the board, that we go through that spreadsheet, go down through those, and I can start that conversation or lead it like with what we thought, and we can debate that and put those in, and then that gets us to a number that then we can decide, are we gonna rebid the electrical to keep moving forward, so. Number one, that price came in ahead of schedule. It doesn't affect the pool of money that we're gonna fund this project with. That's budgeted for separately, but it came in significantly under budget from what the estimate was on that one. So we have that in, but like in our internal spreadsheet, Scott and I weren't including that because it's coming from a different funding source. So looking at what it's gonna take to build.
Partially coming from, because we do fund the law center.
Right. It's still
So
being,
it is-
but it's not coming out of like lost or, you know, it would be
It's
coming
coming
out
out of the
of
general.
general fund that's going to public safety that's funding that portion. So the good news is it came in under what we budgeted for to date. So it would be a little bit of a savings there. So that one would be in. Number two, Scott and I think we cut that, didn't we, on Thursday? Just left it out because we're already over, so we left that out. What's the lifetime difference between 65 and 80?
20 to 30, I believe.
10
is
years, I
the
thought it was 5 or 10. Jim always look, I mean, that's, if it truly buys you 10 years, it's a pretty economical, $7,300. But
In that second handout here, if you're tracking through, there's a page for each of these.
the VAV controller, Scott and I discussed, like, we've been replacing those as they go bad now. This was something that was just thrown in to get them all caught up. We could continue on that, replace as they fail. Another suggestion I threw out is maybe that's a capital project a year or two out to just handle, just like we're doing tuck pointing this year, that could be something that's an ongoing maintenance rather than a capital building project. So we left that off.
The problem I have with that, Corey, is that throws you right into, we don't know how long before they need to be replaced. And it throws you right back into now having to do a property tax assessment to cover that $150,000, $148,000. Whereas if you put it in the project, it's gonna be paid through by loss over time. So,
correct.
Big difference there from my perspective.
So what's your thoughts, Bob?
And Scott, what's longevity of these, or how soon do we need that?
We've been replacing them as they go bad. They're probably past their life expectancy, actually.
Okay.
Does this reflect a savings, Scott? Like, that's something we didn't talk about on Thursday. Does that lump sum reflect a savings over if we're doing them individually?
I guess I haven't looked into that. This was something that I think ISG just put in the bid. It's not something that we had discussed, so I would have to look into that.
Okay. I would keep, I mean, right now, I can't agree that it's not 100% necessary, that it could be taken in outer years, so keep on going.
Number 4, we broke this down a couple different ways Thursday. We talked about the partition, putting in the structure to put it in, but we felt like you're not gonna be able to beat that price to come back and do it as a standalone. So we looked at it a couple different ways. I think ultimately we left it in, I believe, on Thursday exercise, I think so. I know that was a big driver of that space, was to be able to break it into smaller usable spaces for trainings. Storefront, we pulled out. We feel like the doors are open on the front side of the building. We only have a single set of doors, so basically this was like your second set of doors. Thursday exercise, we pulled that inner set, kind of an air brake, if you will. We pulled that out of the project. Laundry systems, we pulled out just from a pure budgetary, kind of on the fence on that one. Like, we do laundry how we do it, instead of in the garage here. That was almost 7,500. I don't have that page in front of me. 78.
8 grand, actually.
So we had pulled that out. we left the terrazzo in. We thought that, we talked about some potential other options of maybe just a border, kind of like we have upstairs in the main halls now. Instead of a full grid, maybe just going to like an outer border. Might be kind of some middle road there, but we left that 10.5 in as a placeholder for now, which cancels out 8. Generator enclosure we need. Tile behind the drinking fountains we left out for consistency because it wasn't shown on what, second and third. And then adding drinking fountains on second and third was a yes. Adding the roller shades, I don't think you're gonna beat that price trying to come and do it as a separate contract later on. We need something for finishing on windows. We left the treasure work out, figured we'd just handle that locally. And we left the snow melt system in. I feel that's a liability on that north side if we don't leave it in, so.
Alrighty, only one, number 2, it just seems like that one, to me, is probably something.
That we should leave in, put
Yeah,
in.
if it's
For that
10
cost,
years.
if it truly does buy us 10 years, it's the most economical thing we could do to cut maintenance.
So,
All right, number 6.
laundry system.
Why would we pull that out if it's base bid, under slab, plumbing, rough, yeah? That's gonna be there regardless.
Yes.
Regardless.
Right?
So you can always add them
So,
later.
the alternate is the water connections, electrical connections. I gotta believe that a year from now, that's gonna cost way more than $8,000 to have a plumber come in and do all that work.
Ventilation's part of it too.
And to me, it just is, unless, Scott, you don't plan to use it, but if you plan to have it set up out there in the future, I think it's irresponsible to pull out 8,000 in savings and cost 14,000 a year from now when you want to have the plumbing and ventilation and everything put out there.
Yeah, I mean, right now we do it down at Jill, so, but it'd be a lot.
But that's silly.
Yes.
You haul stuff down.
Okay, put 6 in and tell us what that total is.
Okay. So, all right, just to recap, so number 2, yes, 3, no. Oh, sorry, I back up.
I have 1.
Should I put 1 in? Okay.
1.
1 is
2.
in. 2, yes.
4.
4, okay.
6.
Okay, 6, yes, okay.
7.
7 in, okay.
9.
9 is in, okay.
11.
Okay, 11 in.
12.
12 in. Skip 13, and then you want the snow melt left in the project, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then the total bid alternate cost with that options scenario is $345,313. 345,313.
And that needs to be then added to the 7,723,496, or does it get added to the 9,975,883?
It's however you want to see it.
Both.
Yeah,
So the.
Both
The
is the
7
right
million,
answer.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So if I add to the 7,723,496.
I'm showing project cost of $10,321,196 with those alternates. And that includes phase 1.
Okay, so if we're gonna include phase 1, and you wanna compare it to the construction cost total?
Should be that.
The 99, so the 9,975,883? Okay. do that. I'm sure you're right, I just wanna keep pace. Okay, so then equals this plus this. Yeah, 10,321,196. Is that what you had?
Yes.
Okay, yep, same page. And then, then we would just have to account for any savings from the electrical bid process.
If we go that route.
If we go that route.
So if we, once again, if we included these items from the alternative bid and knowing that we might get some reductions, is this possible? So Cassandra, once again.
So what I'm looking at right now with what we can bond for, which is 6.3 million, I'm looking at, if we're looking at this 10,321,196, plus we've got cost of bond issuance, we've got some additional costs below that still have not been paid. I don't know that I have everything factored in, because I think there might be some things on there that I don't have. Door fob camera system is now a capital project, so I've added that in. It's looking like $996,407 out of lost and out of general fund to cover what would not be covered by the bond proceeds. So right around $1 million out of both.
Lost and ending balance, or lost in.
So yes, out of local option sales tax on top of paying bond proceed, or bond principal and interest, each year, you would take almost $1 million off the top, and then we'd have to take almost $1 million out of our general fund balance. And I know Corey, talked to me a little bit on Friday that there might be some revenue offsets.
Like with the current numbers, what we just chose, now I haven't deducted the parking lot out of this, that's 83,000, but I come up with about 1.92 that would have to come from a combination of general fund and lost, and that's including like the key fobs and everything, so total cost. A couple other things we looked at, so I just ran a scenario where drawdown lost 680,000, and it would take 1.2 out of general fund. Then with the efficiencies of moving things around, if that allowed us to sell the annex, plus the interest, Adam ran an interest schedule on the quick drawdown of the bond proceeds, like the short time we would hold those. There's about 81,000 in interest that we could accrue there comfortably. So that would put us back under $1 million out of the general fund, with about 670, 680 out of lost. So that's to cover the difference to get down to, I use 6.17 as my bond proceeds after sale. You and I had talked, to be somewhere between 6.17.
Yeah, and I've got it factored in, I just, right off, I just am telling where about.
So if we can achieve some electrical savings, it's a lot more palatable.
The problem from my perspective, Corey, is that from the very beginning, we told the taxpayers that we weren't gonna take it, it was not gonna increase their property taxes. And even under your scenario of potential savings, it's still gonna increase property taxes. Plus, taking a lot of additional fund lost, that then is gonna be less available to do roads and bridges.
That's what I'm trying to get my handle on, is where that confrontation comes with road projects with new lost. At what year, at what point?
I agree with you strongly. You guys have done wonderful work. This isn't, you've tried and tried and tried, and I know, Corey, you've poured in a lot of time, but I'm just not comfortable. I'm not, knowing how, I know it's a guaranteed low bid, but it still doesn't address change orders, which can be quite costly. What are our options?
So within the numbers that we're sharing here, there is contingency that we'll get to return to you if they're not used. So the guaranteed maximum price amendment that we would present, just like the first phase would have contingency. So right now, that's $206,000. Knowing that something's gonna happen, we're gonna find something opening up the wall that's
Yeah,
not
you're
anticipated.
gonna find asbestos, you're gonna find the
Yep.
pipe that wasn't shown on any drawing, or,
There'll be something, but that contingency does get returned to you if not used.
And I will let you know, there are things on the bottom here that I don't have Terracon testing in, added into my numbers. There's some things in here that I need to add in.
Well, we
kind
have
of,
ARPA allocated, we still have this ARPA allocation of 25,585.70 for Terracon. Is that something we haven't been billed for, or is that something we planned forward for phase 2?
The contract we signed with them was up to a certain level,
Okay.
and I just don't know if it wasn't.
Because we still have 25,000.
For phase 1, the contract was 35,970, and that covered both phase 1 and 2.
Okay,
They,
so it
they
is-
billed us 10,384.
It is gonna be phase 2 as well.
Yes.
So that's, we've got 25,585.70 ARPA sitting there in allocation for
That has to be
Terracon.
spent by December of,
26. And
so
then,
is that even possible?
I would think so. I would think we'd get into that.
If we're moving forward by the 24th of March, you should have most of the earthwork backfill done yet this year.
They were looking to have it dried in by end of October.
Right.
I mean, we might be back a month because of this rebid on electrical. And then there's also the ARP allocation pays the phase 1 direct costs down. There's left to pay 211,263. That leaves, if you take the ARP allocation, that leaves 51,58.69 cents. That would have to be paid out of other sources on those phase 1 direct costs that are still hanging out there, so. My numbers that I worked through, the spreadsheet that Scott created helped. Like we kind of allocated where those funds were hanging from and how they were going to be paid, so. Now that we've had that, Scott and I can kind of clean this up now that we've made some decisions on those alternates.
So do we, to your point, where we go, either we got a path of, we have some alternates, going down the path to rebid and see where we come out. If the rebid stays the same, it's a done deal, it's a no. But if you have a confidence level that, hey, we could reduce it down to like last, then is it doable? I don't. That's what I'm trying to figure out from you two, whether it's doable. Or we just say right now, just stop and look at plan B of no new construction.
or we go back to redesign. I'm hiding from those guys because they don't want to hear that word. And we knock it back to a badly needed north entry elevator system that ties into the existing, and we don't have all of the other projects included in it. And I don't know how you would do that. That would be up to these guys that are probably far more familiar with both the site work and the building. But that would be up to them to tie it in so that in the future, if you decided to do something additionally for the meeting room and for the additional floor renovations, you could tie it into whatever they came up to build it. Did any of that make sense to you?
It makes sense what you're saying, but I know we spent time between the last round of bids and the current bids envisioning what that could be, and it really wasn't palatable for your use to have that kind of bare bones north entrance new elevator. I know there's less dollars there, but
Why are you saying that?
We brought concepts back in
right,
September.
we created those interim design concepts after the last bid and
And
brought
what didn't
those.
we like about it?
I don't think it met all the other needs of what this current project does. It was just a a north entrance, and it doesn't set up well for the future use of that space. There isn't a whole lot of space on the north side of the property there to use, and it didn't lay out well.
I think what we brought back also had some internal stuff where we were like moving the assessors, moving your guys' the meeting room and that stuff. It was more than just a north entrance. I think that the internal stuff was what no one really liked.
Which we don't really know if we need.
Yeah.
And I think too, when we were looking at those high-level concepts, eliminating the garage, eliminating the conference room is kind of like, well, why do the project if we're not gaining those things? I think was the discussion.
Well, I think that why you do the project of some sort is that we've been told that the elevator is on borrowed time, it's not last life, and you can't replace it in its existing shaft, and
right.
Therefore, there are some pretty strong arguments that you have to do something.
Right. Yep.
When is the end of life of the elevator?
Flip a coin.
Yeah, it's kind of like Dewey said. I mean, it's still serviceable. We have a maintenance contract with Schumacher, but they have been recommending for years that we need to update.
Okay. And if we don't do a building project, we're not allowed to replace it, update it in place?
We can't physically update because the car size has to increase to meet the new code, and this one, a new car won't fit in the shaft.
Okay.
There's also something to be said for what we've already sunk into this from an investment in design and bidding, and that would essentially be thrown away if we start over with just an elevator shaft.
I don't think that's true. It wouldn't be thrown away at all. It would be the exploratory. How would we have found out this had we not had employed these gentlemen to do all this work? We didn't know. We were originally told, you guys had nothing to do with this. Nobody in this room other than Corey and myself and the ladies were told that, yes, you definitely can do what you're anticipating to do for $6 million. We were told that. And it was an architectural firm. Scott, you were in the room.
Yeah, they're on the phone.
And,
Eric.
Well, fine.
Yeah.
But we were told we could do it for $6 million. And, it's nowhere near that, almost double.
And to the point, if we would have had a better estimate when we set our bond level, it would fix a lot of this heartburn of trying to consider fund balance for the gap.
That is still an option. I gave you that back when you guys bid it out the last time. It would be going back through the urban renewal process again and setting the threshold higher and bonding for more. At that point in time, you guys weren't interested in that option.
If you're bonding to more, you're going to pay longer.
15, 20-year schedules are what Spirit Financial have given us. You're going to just take more of your local option sales tax each year to pay the bonds back, instead of in one lump sum.
Well, right now, it seems like we should give these guys one last breath and have them do the electrical and come back and see.
I can't say enough. I think Myron, you guys have done a great job. I think that, you've made it real. So I do appreciate the work you've done, and so I can do it. I know you've had some struggles. So,
we can give Cassandra a little bit more time to get a financing plan out. And so, yeah, Corey can work with her, so.
That would be my recommendation to, let's see it through on the electrical bid and see if there's savings to be realized.
Yeah. Now, looking at the alternate, I hate to go back to alternate bid list, but if we didn't do the operable room partition, that's $160,000.
So I kind of didn't finish my thought on that. We had talked about putting in the structure for that and then coming back at a later time to make an actual partition, because there's I-beam structure in the ceiling that has to go in during construction to make the track, but there was the idea thrown out, I think, Tom, you might have thrown that out, that actually do the partition later, or
Okay.
give ourselves some
What's the base
opportunities.
bone? What would that be, the
I
base
think
bone?
it is split out in there if you turn to the
On that
page.
page.
So there's 118,000 for the steel itself, the structure, and roughly 28,000 for the partition.
And so we could implement one or both or none of that.
Under your scenario, Corey, you'd just be saving the 28,000.
28,000. It's not significant. It's just, it's an upgrade that can be added later, so it's just marginal savings. But
That doesn't move the needle very much.
no, it doesn't.
Alrighty. So if we guys let you go back and rebid the electric, you mentioned the timeframes. Let's hear those again.
So we would go and publish request for qualifications for a new electrical package tomorrow. The requirements for Iowa code are so many days for those qualifications. We would need to review who qualified, and then there's a minimum for so many days to bid. I think we can use the minimums because we have the plans right now, and if they want to see them early, that's fine. That would put us at a 3/18 bid date, and the next meeting after that would be 3/24, where we present and look for your direction on either awarding or rejecting. The date I mentioned before is April 10th, that we need to tell all the rest of the bidders we're moving forward or not, or their bids will expire.
Dewey, Corey?
Go ahead.
I'm fine with that. Then we'll know.
I agree. Let's move forward and see that through and see where we're at.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
Scott, any words of wisdom?
Would you have it readily available in your computer system to send me the renderings or whatever you call them for doing just the elevator entryway position? Did you
I think there might have been a sketch once upon a time for that. I can, let me see what I can dig up.
If you could.
Which is the Nick on phone.
Eric. Eric, do you have conceptual stair-only renderings?
Yeah, I can find those concepts that we shared and get those sent back out.
All right, thank you.
I think there was a couple concepts that were just stair concept, stair shaft, or elevator shaft only.
And that would be fine, Eric. That'd be all we really would need.
All right.
Maybe, let's see. Yeah, I'll find it. Yeah.
Anything you need from us to authorize you to go with next steps?
No, I believe we have your authorization. We'll get that done tomorrow.
Okay. And Cassandra, building a plan.
I will relook at it again. I think we're running out of options. It's local option sales tax and general fund unless you want to redo your urban renewal.
Okay. And Dewey, how sticky are you gonna be on this?
I'm gonna do what's right, in my mind.
Well, I think the question is, I mean, if you don't wanna take any out of the general fund, we have to extend the sales tax.
I told people that it wasn't gonna be an increase in property taxes, if that answers your question. And I struggle with going back on what I told people.
So, just for clarity, so that means we need to extend our urban renewal and go out further.
I think that would be, in order for me to vote for it at all, if I do, that would be one way to accommodate that. I'm not happy with that, because then again, you know, whoever replaces me has 80% of the roads in this county. And we finally have been able to do something decent with our gravel roads because of lost dollars. And if you pour more into this project and you have less to do on roads, from my perspective and for my constituents, that's problematic.
But to counter that, if we pulled out of general fund balance, not new taxes, but return fund balance, to lower the upfront cost of the project so that we're not having a larger debt payment out of loss, we would have more available lost funds in the out years.
Where did those dollars in the fund come from?
It came from return unspent tax dollars. They are
Okay.
tax dollars, but they're not new tax dollars. They're not
True
being
enough.
taxed specifically for those.
You
And
can
so-
play tricky numbers all you want.
I am not playing
I'm
tricky
not
numbers.
doing-
I'm just
not doing
saying
that.
where you come
You know
from.
what I feel, and.
But if you take the
That's-
overage and you take it out of lost, then you're further hampering road projects that you otherwise wouldn't.
You guys can do that. It's just, it can be a 2-to-1 vote. If you can do it, if that's what you want to do, do it.
No, I'm trying to figure out the
I-
path in order for you to get more acceptable for financing. So is.
I think you gotta shrink the project to stay within reasonable amount of overage. And I don't know how you do that without killing the project. Go to an entryway and an elevator that we absolutely need and do something more later. It's only gonna cost more money later too. So,
We're gonna let them come back with electrical bid. If it comes, amazingly like last time, we still need to have a financing mechanism to make us happy. Do you want Cassandra to look into expanding the urban renewal to go out longer? Is that more palatable for you versus general fund?
yes.
Corey?
I'm on the other side of that, but I'm willing to negotiate on anything at this point.
Yeah. So let's consider that as an option. Then you'll have to work with Landon and making sure that, yeah, he knows too. So.
I will talk to, Maggie already actually reached out this morning. We'll relook at what the urban renewal process will be to redo it.
Okay.
We'll get some numbers.
Alrighty. What else?
That's it. We've got our marching orders.
Thank you very much. Anything else for the good of the order?
Second.
First and seconded, all favors to adjourn, say aye. And we are adjourned. All right.
We have a follow-up real quick.
Yep.
Yep.